Just do it!
Do it!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Asylum podcast. That's what it is. Welcome to the Asylum podcast. It is the
explosion imminent.
Weekly.
Evacuate the facility
Why is my alerts
immediately.
coming on again? I turn them all off. God damn it. We love these adverts. Welcome to. Hang on, let me just rewind. Pretend you didn't see that at all. Right,
Bits! I love Biddies!
Bits already. That's not my channel.
Actually, that is freaking muted.
Toby Dodge
Why
with
is
the
it working?
bits!
Why is it doing
Toby's
this?
beat.
Hashtag professional streamers.
Hang on.
Gotcha.
One second. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Asylum podcast.
I'm full of fizzy pop.
This is the weekly Star Citizen, weekly podcast that the Asylum channel does that we sometimes talk a little bit about Star Citizen and the rest of it is absolute complete nonsense. So welcome, enjoy the madness, enjoy that madness as well, and sit back and enjoy the ride. That's just let it happen. That's all we can say when this podcast is on. Is just sit back and let it happen.
Yeah, it hurts less when you stop struggling.
Exactly.
Just don't keep resisting. Honestly, it's fine. It makes it's better for me.
It makes it more special. It's better for him.
Resist. Keep pushing back harder is all I'm saying. That's what I want to try and run away. It's fine.
Or there's going to be a little bit of coffee on the carpet now.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the pushback line.
It's just like the record of trying to get banned as quick as possible on Twitch from going live. Live to banned in 3 seconds.
It's your dirty minds. It's your dirty minds, not mine. So I'm just going to say, just because I felt like it, I am currently drinking Dr. Pepper. Because what is the worst that could happen this evening? We'll find out.
No. I'm gonna have to correct you on that. It's not doctor. It's Dur Pepper. There's no period after the R.
Dur
Pepper. Dur Pepper.
Let me get a white pen. I need to put a little dot on there. Just so it's a little official.
This is where Madness thinks it actually makes him a doctor by drinking it. That's the thing.
Yes.
Yes. Where's the Intel sponsorship?
We are now
Madness?
joined tonight by Dr. Pepper.
I gotta say,
Pepper.
I haven't been able to stream, and it's so nice to be able to stream. Well, technically not stream, but be on someone's stream with a video format with a baby next door. Yes,
You could
so
host it
nice.
if you wanted.
No. I can't. My computer is broken.
Oh, that's right. I heard about this. Yeah.
Anyone that's been following me will know that I had great successes. A great tweet with "Woo!" We installed the SSD drive and everything with the new RAM. Everything's working great. We took 2 days of like trying to figure out, clone things over, blah 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 blah. Anything. Trying my best to. I'm dyslexic and I hate paperwork. Anyway, so I've been trying to do that. And then literally, I was playing The Witcher. Just loaded up The Witcher. Started playing it, and then poof, blue screen, error code. Oh, okay. What the fuck's happened? I thought it just crashed. Restarted the computer. Needed to fix something, got stuck on refix, reset it again. Next thing you know, it's loaded up. I was like, oh, thank God. I thought it was a close one. And then 5 seconds later, after getting into Windows, poof, another blue screen, different error code. Then I reset again, poof, another blue screen, different error code, poof, another one. I had 9 different blue error codes with different error codes. Took photos of them all quickly. And then now I have only a black screen with a tiny little white little line now and again that appears. So it's hardcore broken. So I'm just like, and do you know what's even worse? This is what's worse. Like, okay, I bought this expecting this to arrive at the end of the month. It arrived today.
He's got 4 memory sticks, so I think he upgraded, Toby. That's what I said, just take the RAM back out. But it sounds like it's his hard drive, to be honest. By the error code that he gave, when I Googled it, it's the hard drive. He hasn't even got it out of the box. Look, he's that disappointed he hasn't even got it out of the box.
So sadness. A little bit of sadness.
For me, whenever I get a package like that, I'm opening it as it comes to the door. It's like, oh, wow, what's this? He's like, no, just put it in the corner.
Watch this. He opens it up and the screen's like all fucked up.
No, I opened it.
Shipping damage.
To work, open it up and it'll be cracked in half, and it'll be like, oh shit.
Don't say no. I've opened it. It has been checked. Everything's kosher in there. But I'm just so gutted because it's literally beautiful. And I was sat there looking at it, going, oh, I can't believe it. Like, literally, my computer broke yesterday, and this arrives today. So, And for anyone that doesn't know what it is, it says on there, it's a drawing differently. It's a full 22-inch screen HD for drawing directly onto a screen. Mm-hmm. So rather than like a tablet, and then I look at the screen.
Why did you need that? I'm sure your kids would get a crown and just draw over your screen anytime.
He's come close a few times already, I'm sure. No.
Look,
so
look what I've managed to draw.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that at some point happens. Fine. You'll be watching me going, oh, that's amazing. Let me try with my crayon and this permanent marker. Yay! Thanks, son. That's a great idea. So, I'm gutted, man. So today was pretty shitty. So I went in to watch HC cheer me up because he was struggling with Star Citizen. So I felt great.
Oh my god! Jesus Christ! So the Arrowhead is a pile of shit. It let me down today, dramatically.
Get good.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut your whore mouth.
Get good, scrub.
Fucking A. Missed like 20 shots, and a guy just ran up to me and shot me dead with the custodian. Oh god.
Is it because of all the like showing off you did with the Aurora last week? It's like payback.
Yes, it's karma. It's absolute karma. Like nobody should feel bad for me because everything bad that happens to me is just karma. It's just the universe just maintaining its baseline.
It's just like he's like shooting away with the right when someone just comes with a crowbar and goes.
Exactly.
You're out.
See, I
like,
what's the problem with the Arrowhead? It's just charge and fire. I don't understand what the problem is. You've got a scope now. I didn't used to have a scope on that fucking thing. That was left in the airlock about 5 minutes back. That was 5 minutes back. I lost the bloody scope. So don't come complaining with me about the Arrowhead. You've got it easy, son. You got it easy. Man. We had to literally just guess.
Back in my day, we had to guess up both ways because we didn't have a scope, and we liked it.
That was
fucking old man madness over here.
Hated it with a passion. No, it wasn't always the case. It did sometimes have a scope on it, but
sometimes
it was fine. Yeah. It's fine. You just take your time. But where were you when you were using it? In
Drug lab.
Oh, and you still couldn't kill people?
No. Guy was coming right at me. I was on the European servers, mind you. So I'm an American on European servers.
Was this like the perfect ambush that you had set up?
Yes. You know? I was laughing to myself for 45 minutes. And like I was waiting for someone to come in, land, get out of their ship, go to the drug lab and shoot them. The first guy that came in actually turned out to be invisible.
Oh.
I saw the door open. Yeah, because he opened the door on his cutlass. I saw the interior lights deploy. I saw nothing. I saw the drug lab door open. I'm like, what? And then it opened again, and then the ship took off. And I'm just like, what? So, and then the second guy came in. We had this wonderful dogfight above the drug lab. It was a constellation came down, set down, freelancer came in. The guy took back off. We had this freelancer constellation fight above the drug lab. It was great. And then the constellation set back down. You see the elevator come down. I see the guy fire. Nothing. The guy goes up to the door in the drug lab, fire again. Nothing. Guy comes back out. I'm shooting at him, miss every fucking shot. Walks up to me and just guns me down like a bitch.
That's just you in the wrong server. You need to be in an American server, I think.
No, I agree with Forbidden Tech. It's just, it's fair points that Europeans are more skillful. I agree. It's we don't expect you to have the same kind of standards when you're in one of our servers. It's fine.
To be fair, what really should, if he had been on your team though, that you would have probably shot him no problem. But because he was actually on the enemy team. Friendly fire.
Honestly, I want them to take the persistent universe friendly fire rules into Star Marine. There are some people I just legit want to kill. Like even if it doesn't matter what team they're on, I want to gun you down because you're either in my way or.
I know for a fact that I would literally be shot the minute I arrive. They'd be like, "Oh man, this is it! Dead, bang, shoot him." He's on that
way. You can imagine him doing like Rainbow Six Squad style. And he goes, "Oh fuck it, you'll be in front taking point," and he'll just shoot you. Oh, sod this, you're in my way. Shoot you down and just walk over you to get in. It's like that's not quite how it works.
I used to do that in PlanetSide 2 all the time.
That reminds me of is that movie with Speed with Keanu Reeves, where the guy goes pop quiz and he's like, "Shoot the hostage." He's like, "Shoot the hostage! Shoot the hostage!"
Wait, I didn't even have a hostage Vertigo. What the fuck? I was just practicing. Practicing for the day when you had a hostage.
Oh my god. So yes, welcome to the we haven't really we're just flying in there really straight away.
But at least that was Star Citizen talk, which is an improvement for us.
I mean, I managed to play before my computer crashed, I did actually manage to play with my new SSD drive and my new RAM, and I must say the improvement was incredible. Like I couldn't believe, like the frames, just the smoothness. It did definitely this. The RAM is a big. If anyone's got 16 gig, I definitely would recommend to anybody, if you're finding it a bit stuttery or whatever, it is worth, if you can afford to, upgrade to the 32. It does make a difference. I can confirm that 100%. And the SSD drive, the same deal. If anyone's running a HDD drive, it is well worth moving to either a standard SSD, I would say, or the M2s or an Optane or whatever. It does make a huge difference because the load time was astronomical. Optane, yes, or whatever. I mean, basically, whatever's faster than a standard drive, if you want to enjoy Star Citizen.
It's
faster. Yeah.
Just plug in a few extra potatoes.
Some of us like reliable Volvos, okay, over here. You know, this is like the slow, steady, safe, doesn't break. Look what happened when the minute I put a fancy flash Ferrari in my PC.
Somehow I don't think it
broken.
Somehow I don't think it was the Ferrari that broke it.
It might be it's probably the driver, to be fair, of the Ferrari that's broken it. Yes. But still, I put a fancy Ferrari in and it's broken my computer.
It's funny. Someone there was I don't know if it was on some radio station or something, but there was it was like an American saying the same thing about the cars, and in terms of like the modern cars have all got all these electrics and everything else. It's like, yeah, nothing fucking, you can have the flashiest car, but because it all now relies on electronics, you can literally have a bulb go and the thing won't start. And yet you get these old Ford wagons that have been 60, 70 years old. You just turn the thing, it's been under a tree, not been run for years, you just turn the key and it starts. It's like, there we go.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Everyone's like, fucking hell, Madness. Thanks for the obvious tip. We've all been telling you for a year. So slow.
Tech tips with a little bit of madness.
Not all of us have got the money. Come on.
Fucking giving Linus over there fucking run for his money.
Sorry, little one. You're not getting any food for a year because Daddy needs to get an SSD.
Tech tips.
Bomb tech tips.
They may be a year late, but they still count.
Don't pour Dr. Pepper inside your computer.
Oh Jesus! Yeah,
run better that way.
We'll all be on to the next type of hard drive by the time he actually installs it and gets it working.
No, no, seriously, I've got the people that built it for me. I'm sending it, shipping it away. So I don't know what's going to happen next week because Miz is away. My computer might not be back. HC, you want to host a podcast next week?
Why the fuck not? It can't be any worse than we're doing right now.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Thanks.
I mean, I'm trying to think of you guys are talking over there. I'm trying to think of what the next type of hard drive would be. And honestly, if I can get 5 more frames by scooping the brains out of a newborn baby and installing that into my computer, I probably would.
Wow.
Just. I'm not sure.
We'll cancel that host next week. Yeah, okay. This is a little bit controversial. This is like hides locks his newborn baby away. It's like you're not getting out of this one.
I mean, you're solving a lot of problems. Think about it. You're solving a lot of problems at the same time.
I'm just thinking how it will work. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe it could work.
You're solving overpopulation. You're solving not being able to buy food for your newborn, and you're solving your low frame rate in Star Citizen. All together.
Well, Madness can beta test that for you. So.
Yeah, hang on, don't worry. It's fine. I've got a manual here.
He's got another one. It doesn't
I know how to work.
I have a manual.
Oh my god. We'll work it out as we go along. Don't worry. We'll
feel it out. We'll feel it out.
Right, moving on past this slightly dark conversation. I played it. HC's been playing. Miz, have you played at all? Star Citizen this week?
I haven't had any time, to be honest. No. So no.
That's fair enough. That's cool. I understand. The roadmap has been updated.
Yay!
Again?
So yeah, well, the only change it appears to be the only update this just tells us what has been increased, what hasn't been worked on. In terms of the obvious revisions that they've done, which is quite funny, is they've taken the Aegis revisions and then split them into 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they scored out the revision, which has just stood for all 3 variants. So now they've separated out all the excuse me, the variants into 3 packs. Do you think all 3 will make it into 3.3, or do you think they'll pull back and they'll just give us, say, the Titan version? Do you think they'll just say, well, do you know what, maybe just so we can get one of these versions in for this patch, or do you think they'll try and deliver all 3? I mean, they'll try and deliver all 3. But
yeah,
I think they'll achieve it.
The difference externally, there's no difference between all the 3. It's mostly the difference, I think, is the internals. They're just building out the internals now. That's why they separated them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The outside, the external bit's probably done and ready. It's like, well, they look, oddly, they seem to be going at the similar pace. So they're all hard. I mean, well, mind you, it says 50% done could be the outer shell, and then the 50% would be the inside.
Well, this is it, right? That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the 50%. They're all hit 50%. So possibly that's just the outside done, and then the rest is the insides. But they say they do the insides first now, which is where I was confused. Because they always say they do the insides now first.
For the larger ships, yes. For the Aegis ships, though, they have their style guides complete. Like there's so many goddamn Aegis ships out there. I'm pretty sure they're just taking all the other Aegis style guides, and they're just like, okay, now we're ready to apply the internal style guides from the other Aegis ships to the Avenger to bring them up to the standards of the rest of the ships.
Yeah, if the little one cries, I'll mute. But anyway, we can say he's getting a change. What's interesting is the item kiosk shopping is percentage-wise is 64%. It's actually 9% down in terms of, I'm not quite sure how it works, but it's...
They add more?
9%. Oh, it's 9% down on... I think it's 9% up, but it's less than last week, I think is how it means. What it means is, so the progression from the previous week was far greater than the progression this week, ultimately.
Okay.
So it's still gone up 9%, but I think it's not like the 11-12% that it was whatever last week. I'd have to check last week's to be sure, but it's at 64%. I think it's 64. It's hard to tell. 64. Yeah, 64%. Because that for me is the shopping kiosk is quite important for me. That was like one of the things that I ticked on, to be in 3.2. That was one of my things, is I really want that in, because I feel like that then eliminates again that excuse, because they talk about the kiosks and everything being a reason why we don't get ships in game. So I'm like, hey, guess what? We've got that tier 0 whatever now in game. So, surely by 3.3 we should get ships in game. Do you know what I mean? Like by the end of the year, they in my opinion, they still need to have the ships in game.
The only thing is that is still not listed like anywhere on the roadmap, is it?
I know. No, it's not. It's not.
And that's I suppose it's a little bit annoying. It's like, can we have some form of communication to say that they're working on it? Or
I don't care if it gets pushed around. Just put it on the map.
Is it planned to be out, or are they literally just not planning on giving it to us at all? Or is it meant to be a surprise? Maybe it's meant to be a surprise.
I feel like a bit of it could be a surprise. Maybe they want to do it as a surprise, but I feel like it's a little bit embarrassing. I mean, if I was Aaron Roberts, for example, I would be embarrassed, because this guy came on, he was there at BritainCon last year, or whatever it was, and at Citizen, he was asked this question. He said it would be in 3.0 originally, then Disco changed it and told him, no, you mean 3.1. He was like, oh yeah, I mean 3.1. Then it was pushed to 3.2. Now it's been pushed away. I'm going to go on about this a little bit, because I think it's such a big thing. We're 6 years in. Realistically, this game mechanic should be in. It's the final loop in order to keep lots of things going on. Yes, sure, okay. I can wait for the kiosks and other things to be in, but once they're in, there's no reason in my head. I can't think of any reason, because they talked about the UI user interface being a reason, and the kiosks. So if the kiosks get in this time, then what's the excuse?
Yeah, that's that. I don't know why we're waiting for anything else.
Besides needing money, and if they come out and just say to us, we're not putting it in game because we want to do X number of more development, and we need X amount more money, I would be cool with it. I would be cool, because it's open and honest. But what I'm not cool with is when you say to us, hey, guess what, guys? Here's the carrot dangling in front. It's going to be in 3.1. Oh, no, it's not in 3.1. Oh, we're going to put it in 3.2. Oh, it's not in 3.2. Oh, we're just going to disappear completely and vanish into nowhere. I don't know.
It's just more of a share. It's just more of a surprise that it's not listed, I think, than anything. So it's not even like, well, because this is what we've kind of said for a long time in terms of, we want some information, and like I think we're all agreed that we're quite happy now that we've got this roadmap, and it at least gives us an idea of what's going on when they're developing it. So to not have it on there is like saying that they're not working on it. Now I know they said not everything's on the roadmap, so I get that, but they know it's a pretty big feature that people are looking forward to, and it'd be nice to at least have some, because this is the problem that we were having before the roadmap. we didn't know when things were due, so we spent ages keep going, well, is it going to be the next patch? Is it going to be the next patch? And so we have these discussions that we're having now, whereas it would be a lot easier to say, oh, we're not getting this for a year, so let's can this discussion. Let's not even bother discussing it because we're not getting it. Whereas now we're so up in the air, we don't know when we're going to get it. And so we kind of keep discussing it because we keep bringing it up because it's something that I think the majority of people now really feel that they want in the game. It's a big thing. So yeah, it would be just nice. Just stick it on. Let us know that you're even considering it would be nice. Apart from just like a random interview.
We heard about it on Reverse the Verse. I forget. I do apologize if I'm going to go really. The Asian bald small guy with the round head. What's his name? I forget his name now. He was on Reverse the Verse. Sorry,
one this week. Yeah, no, I can't. I remember his name.
This week. He mentioned that he's now leading up the team that is now doing in-ship game purchasing. So he mentions in Reverse the Verse that he said that he's leading up that team now. So there's a team there to put this into game. So it's not a question of it won't happen. It will happen. It's just a question of when and how long we have to wait for it. And like you said, will CIG inform us or will they surprise us with it? We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But I personally would rather. I'd like to not be surprised. I'd rather like to know.
I'd rather just have it so we can see it as like everything else, like as a tangible thing that we're aiming towards or getting closer to. It'd be nice. Yeah,
exactly. But we all know it's so much. It's such a hot potato because it's so much to do with the money. You know what I mean? I think that's why it's such a difficult. It's going to be a very difficult thing for CIG to let go of.
It may be. I mean, it could well be a higher up internal discussions of if we do this transition, how are we going to do it, and how are we going to, they might have to be doing a lot of research into what the repercussions are by putting this into the game, and is the game ready for it, and are they ready for it, and things like that, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't care about any repercussions. Just hold yourself to your promises. Put a goddamn kiosk in All-Star. I don't care if you're buying a Mustang Alpha, an Aurora MR, or Aurora ES, or whatever. That's all you can purchase. Ships are in game. You can purchase them. Done. Check that box.
Yeah, but if you just put a Mustang in, or if you just put an Aurora, people we're just going to moan the same as they are now.
Yeah, I don't care. Just do it.
Yeah, but that's not going to help anyone. It's like, I can buy the starter ship that I already own. That's not going to make any difference.
You can buy another one.
People want a kiosk to buy a ship that they can work towards. There's no point selling a starter ship. That's not going to help. They might as well just give everybody a starter ship.
They should have. I've said before that they should have one of every kind of tier of a gameplay style that you want to do. So a cutlass or a freelancer. A repair would be if they have a smaller repair eventually, so like a Vulcan or whatever. It could be a multi-crew thing when it's out. But right now it would be a Gladius, in my opinion. It'd be a Gladius. It would be a cutlass or a freelancer, and then you'd probably do a Connie, one of the Connie variants, and maybe a Starfarer, maybe. But I think if you did a Connie, Gladius, and a Cutlass, I think those three ships would be pretty dope.
We're rolling on from it because that wasn't the discussion we're having. And like we said, because it's not on the roadmap, it's pointless. We've already said multiple times what we want to see on it. It's just, like I said, we just want information so we've got an idea of when it's coming, so we know what we're looking forward to. And also, it's the sort of thing that people come in to the Twitch chat and ask as well when you're playing. Same as, when you used to get like a lot of new people coming in, how do I join the game, how do I start? That sort of question of when are we going to be able to buy ships is quite a common question. And the fact that we can't answer it doesn't look good.
Yeah, agree. I definitely, just briefly, because we were talking about the prospector there briefly, 100%, I think the prospector should be on sale if they're not going to give people the ability to get it in game. To buy, and I think they should make it the subscriber ship for the patch as well. If they're not going to give us,
we can hope. They've done it. They kind of don't do things like that because they seem to have a set line of what they're releasing to the subs. But yeah, please wake up to that and do that would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Really smart. I was just going to say the reason why we briefly was touching on in terms of doing what the community is asking for about stuff is we all know about the 27k pledge thing.
Ah, yes, here it is.
And the Legatus, whatever it's what's the Legatus something or other packet.
Legatus.
I'm never going to spend that kind of money. But there's actually an interesting thing is somebody has actually, unless this was photoshopped, I can't confirm this is photoshopped or not, but somebody did actually buy this pack because there's actual there's someone shown the blip of 27,000 pretty much, not quite, it's about this, but it appears that someone actually did actually buy the
does
package.
that show if someone bought it with store credit?
I don't know if it's someone who bought it with store credit. I don't know.
But would it show if it was bought with store credit on that chart? Because I know someone that has bought it with store credit.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know how that funding thing, if it counts store credit or if it just counts fresh money. No store credit, so it's just money then. So okay, there you go.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't show.
I know.
Okay.
Clifford was one of the ones that's got like 51k or something invested in the game, and he basically said he was one of the people that did want this 27k package because it meant he could melt all of his stuff and then buy it as a nice package, so it kept it all together rather than, because he says he's got like pages and pages of ships as well, so he said it helped keep everything a bit in order. So he put a picture up on Twitter the last few days with a picture of it showing it with his 27k.
Basically,
package.
he was using it as an inventory management. The package,
that is literally what he was saying. He goes like, it's too hard for me to filter through the ships I got. Can I have it so it neatens my hangar inventory up?
So rather than Star Citizen actually building a far better system for everybody to enjoy, where you can neatly, put all your ships into a nice, neat order, they just say, "Fuck it, we'll put everything into one package, and you pay 27 grand, and you can buy that instead." Genius.
I mean, if I had $27,000, if I had that kind of money to drop after everything else, I'd probably give Chris Roberts 27,000 if I was stupidly rich. But I haven't won the lottery yet, though.
But when I do, Chris, it's yours.
yeah, it's yours, buddy.
1%. If I do, Chris, 1% of it is yours.
Yeah, reiterate.
So, but what is interesting is the 27. The whole conversation around the 27 is like, obviously, I'm generally not. I don't. It's a financial amount of money that is never going to impact me in terms of like, I'm never going to spend that kind of money. However. The point of the conversation, I think, that people get funny about it and want to talk about it, and it is the way it makes the Star Citizen community and the game be perceived by the outside world. Now, there is an argument to say, who gives a fuck, right? The reality is who gives a shit what people think. And I think Chris Roberts and those people ultimately don't really care too much. But there's a great article where they talk about it here. They caught the attention. It said 27 bundle of spaceships. This was the Polygon. Polygon.com says the 27 bundle of spaceships and game content caught the attention of backers and detractors of a massively crowdfunded space game earlier this week. And then he says the difference to the higher price tag, blah, 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 contributed money. But some in the community didn't appreciate the optics of the bundle either. And this is one individual. I'll read the positive as well, the counter as well. So we're balanced here. It says, all right, this is getting ridiculous, said Redditor. He's obviously read it. Skytrek 88 in the Star Citizen subreddit. He says, I've been on the wait and see side of the fence for 6 years now, but shit like this makes me fall right over into the maybe the guy's calling this game a scam or onto something. It's not a scam, but we'll ignore that bit. We'll ignore that. We'd trigger on some of this, but he says, close your, and he politely says, fucking donation shop and finish the goddamn game if it even can be finished and become playable in any current fan's lifetime. Okay, that's his opinion. And then the counter argument, obviously, because he said scam, he said a lot of triggering words there, so we just ignore the triggering words. Because obviously people will get triggered on it. It says, I'm tired of people calling the entire game base, this is the positive side, a bunch of suckers or a cult, said the Redditor Daku Tomato, whatever his name is. Many of us are just hopeful and excited to be able to play a space sim, but it seems like whenever someone sees news about the game, they are ready to condemn anybody who is interested in it. Okay, there's only two people's opinions, but you can kind of see one kind of very kind of frustrated person, like, oh, for fuck's sake, come on, can we stop with the donation, blah 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 blah, just give me a fucking game. And then the other side saying, well, no, I'm happy with the way it is, it's no problem, I don't care, they can take as long as they want. And then the truth is that the community asked for it. It was requested by the community. It's been asked by the community by our pledges, says Cloud Imperium representatives. They did it before with the 15k. As blah blah blah, what's it says here, Davis noted. I'll post it in thingy so you guys can read it yourselves, but it just it's more just the way it kind of looks to
Okay, so can I have a little take on this? Because I mean, we're not going to discuss it too much because I think it's been bandied around for ages now. But this will be our little section on it, and then we'll move on. But I don't give a shit about the 1 or the 2 people or even the 10 people on Reddit or whatever. It's for me what was odd about it is I understand why he's done it and everything, but it's so. I've said this before, they've been having a lot of time where Star Citizen got this PTU, we've got the Advocacy, and then we've got the live release. Now, part of the reason we have that is because CIG wants the new patches to go to Advocacy because then they don't want this new buggy release to go straight to live and it looks shit. And then all the articles pick up on it and say, oh, look how shit this game is, look how the alpha's doing, it's buggy, it's crap, the frames are crap. So they seem to do whatever they can to can that. So by going through the different test phases, by the time technically we get to the live release, it should be more stable. I know it's not really turning out that way, but I think that's kind of their aim of why they do that. So clearly, and this has been a change, especially over the last year, they seem to be more and more bothered about the way that the media and the press represent the game. So they've been trying to get more positive articles in the press. They've been worrying a little bit more about, things like PC Gamer and all that stuff. They're trying to. So by doing this, regardless of whether you think it's pointless or not, what did they think the media were going to do with it? Like, did they really think people are going to go, oh, yeah, that's really nice, they're offering their fans 27k package, that's nice. Like, it's complete bait for any media outlet. And let's face it, most of the media sources out there now will do anything to get a headline, which gets them clicks on their website. And it seems almost like all on the same day, everybody put out the title and it all said exactly the same thing. Oh my god, look what this game's doing. And then everybody clicked those articles and everybody goes and reads. So it works. It got some of their clickbait. But from CIG's point of view, it seems like, why do this? Why now? And why do it? That's all I think. It's like...
Because somebody needs to get their inventory sorted out, I think, clearly. And because there's more ships. I think from my perspective, there's more ships and they need to... That's the reality of it. It's no longer... People were grumbling like, oh, this 15k package isn't giving me all the ships. And this is supposed to be the completionist pack by the title. It's not really a completionist pack anymore. So...
No.
I get it myself. It doesn't really bother me.
I think it's more. This is definitely a media push. Like not all media coverage is bad coverage. In as far as business goes, this is definitely putting Star Citizen back on the front page of the journalism. And honestly, a lot of people kind of understand that 27k is, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. It's a pledge. You're making a donation or a pledge, if you will, to this. So it's just trying to keep your name fresh in the people's minds. Going out there, creating a little bit of a stir, even if it's slightly negative, you're still reminding people that your project exists, even if it's just current backers. I mean, it's a very small thing they can do. Updating the website to actually put a $27,000 package doesn't take very much on their end, but it still stirs up a lot of the news media around this whole thing.
Yeah,
so, I mean, the number of people who are going to buy a $27,000 package is very small.
No, well, I mean, there's obviously people doing it, and people are melting and changing things around, which is cool. I think the thing for me with it is never to do with it's like I said earlier. It's just the fact that we've got them saying this is what the community wants, and then they deliver it based on a financial thing, and then obviously we're all many people are asking for certain things. I mean, there's an overwhelming majority of the community would like the ships in game, and yet we still, like we talked about earlier, we still haven't got that, and it's like. They pick. There is it seems to be a bit of cherry picking on stuff. We know the reason for this is obviously quite simple to do, I guess, because it's just a web page and other things. But that's only it's a tiny bit of grain of salt in the. I really don't give two shits about it personally, but the tiniest bit of grain is just, oh look, here's 27 grand. We've done a pack and made it available on the web page. Oh look, we can't do tutorials. We'll get you to do tutorials, but we can do a web page, or we can't do a section on the web page which explains LTI really clearly and explains exactly what LTI is and what it will be on the web page. So everyone knows what it is. But we can do a web page for 27 grand for all the ships and everything. That's my only tiny bit of salt.
Yeah, and I see what people are saying about bad press is better than no press, and to a degree. Although, hopefully in the long run, because I've said this for quite some time, that like all these people that have been moaning, this is why I kind of don't get the whole hiding some of the patches, even when it's broken, or you know, like not releasing some of the stuff when I feel like they could, even if, you know, like in a bad state, because I feel like eventually when the game comes out, all these people that slag it off, especially the games mags and everything else, that when it comes out, and if it's an absolutely amazing game, that's all you ever read on the actual release date. It'll be how fantastic this project has become and how amazing it is, and by then that word spreads and most people will then go and buy it because it's getting, you know, you'd be hard pressed to ignore a game that's getting 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 on all the gaming magazines. So I definitely agree with that mostly, but there is the problem with the bad press to a certain degree is, and this will then obviously depend on how well Star Citizen comes out, because if you look at, say, No Man's Sky, which was hyped to the hilt, and then when it come out, and then there were some people like Manus, he actually enjoyed the game, and it obviously got better after a few patches, but the press on it was so bad, I can guarantee you that there's a huge handful of people that never touched that game just because of the bad press that it got. It's like, I'm not, even though they said, oh look, we've improved it now, people will not go near it or go back to it. So
yeah, no, same with
there's
films
a
as
little
well,
bit
like,
of that, but I get that, you know, obviously if when it comes out it's got absolutely amazing reviews, then yes, that hopefully will get rid of that, but there's going to be some damage done by it.
Yeah, because the expectation is so high, because people will see the monetary value and then assume a certain degree. So, I mean, they really do. They really do have. I mean, Chris Roberts obviously has got the bar very high, and we've already seen the visuals of the game as super.
Oh yeah, superb.
So it's the gameplay. If they can get the game. I've always said this. I said it last week. They get the gameplay the same. It doesn't matter. They will have justified the amount of money in seconds.
Yeah,
and I'm going to take, since we've covered some of the other sides of Legatus Pack from the Star Citizens, I'm going to do a little bit more contrarian view here. The negative side about this, I think a lot of the gaming community, the PC gaming, the console gaming community, I'm going to throw everybody is in as gamers here, is sick and fucking tired of microtransactions, loot boxes, cynical cash grabs by executives from these big publishing companies just coming in and shitting all over our hobby with garbage games. I'm like Battlefront 2, Battlefront. They're just designed to just churn money. That's all they're designed to do. They you know, like what was that? Candy Crush. It's just designed to get their hooks into you, and they're trying to pull your wallet right out of you. Yeah. I think a lot of people see this $27,000 pack and they see that, they're like, nope, I don't want no part of this. These guys are greedy sons of bitches, and they're not going to change, and they're going to come for more of our money. They're not going to deliver on any of their promises. That's what they see. Because everybody else in the market is doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
which is a shame, because when you actually really break it down, it's not that at all. It's fundamentally, it's about organizing your ships into a really neat folder system. Yeah. That's all it really is about. And also, and also, it's about funding the development of this game so that we hope we don't get a loot box kind of system.
Yeah, but I have to explain that microtransactions are in the game. You can buy in-game UEC right now. Voyager Direct works. I know, right? And you can buy skins. I'd like to see more skins. I always complain about ship sales. I want to see more other microtransactions you can spend $5, $10 on just every week or something. New skin, I'll buy that for $1, no problem.
So the greedy executives ultimately we were referring to, if we were talking about this game, just to be clear, would be Chris Roberts, Aaron Roberts, and then whoever. I think there's another. I've listed out on a previous podcast.
Portland Fairmouth, Chris Roberts are essentially the owners, the CEO
the
of
owners. So those
CIG,
would be
RSI.
Effectively, okay.
The greedy CEOs.
The greedy CEOs, and I don't. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, from the numbers, the salaries that we know, that how much I think roughly they get paid and stuff, it's not in the realms of ridiculous versus other companies. It's pretty real, it's pretty standard. And they're building 3 studios and employing 500-600 people or whatever it is. Who, you know, that has a knock-on effect for their families, their kids, and all the rest of it. So for me, it's good. You know, it's all good. They're helping pay their, you know, they're good with me. Maybe not pay their taxes because tax breaks, but we'll ignore that.
Just to hit on what Martin was saying about not needing media. To a degree, we've got this far without having a lot of media, but don't be completely fooled. They want media attention. They wouldn't be going to people like Intel to get their backing and then advertising their ships and getting them to do it. they want, and they've already done some magazine articles. They've been and done some interviews with the German magazines. They do want media help. Anyone would want media help and want media coverage. They would be foolish not to. They don't want negative media coverage, obviously. And I think that's why when you see like Chris Robertson, they do the Gamescom and things like that, and you have the live demo. You can tell he's very stressed, and he wants it to be crystal smooth, whatever, crystal clear. He wants it to be as smooth as butter. You know, he wants the presentation to go really well because he knows that video is going to be out to the media outlets as soon as. That's why he does press demos for them. They come and see the whole demo separately in a different room, and he shows it off because he knows they're all going to go and make their articles. Of course,
I disagree. We need media. We do need it. Media. We need to get the word out. That's how you get more money. That's how you get positive coverage. That's how people know your name. That's how people know when the games come out. They go like, "Oh, I remember hearing about Star Citizen. This was this game. I should try this out."
Word of mouth gets you so far, but it doesn't go all the way.
Actually, I disagree.
If that was the case, this podcast would be massive.
I think word of mouth does mean a lot more than the actual journalist magazines these days, stuff like PC Gamer, Polygon,
I think there's a lot of magazines where people just don't even, they're just laughable to even call themselves a review journalist.
I know. You're bloggers. That's what you are. You're just but yeah, like the Legatus pack, I like how the Legatus pack has allowed me to identify new trolls. They come into my stream chat and they ask, "Hey, what about this Legatus pack?" I'm like, "Is the Legatus pack really? Like that ship has sailed. Like there's $500 ships back in the day. There was the $15,000 completionist pack. There was $3,000 javelin. I mean, that ship has sailed and is now coming back for even more money. Like that's an old chestnut in my mind. The complaint about all how expensive the ships and ship packages are.
I agree. Okay. I think it's just like it's just another
expensive thing.
Just to be clear, I don't, for the life of me, presume to assume that Chris Roberts, by the way, is greedy and Aaron Roberts are greedy or all the rest of it. I do not say that at all. What I am going to say is I don't know them. I don't know them personally. They could be. They might not be. Based on the actions of hiring an entire staff and building this game, I personally think that's what the money's for. I don't think it's greedy at all. I think it's about a passion project. And that's the reason why I bought into it, because I believe it's a passion project for them.
Yeah.
However, I don't know them. So I don't know. They could be very greedy. I just don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone here, unless you personally know Chris Roberts, you can't say otherwise. So you can just assume based on the way that they act on media and TV. But those are fake environments. Real environments are meeting the person down the pub and chatting to them or knowing them from school for 5-6 years or whatever, 10 years or whatever it is. That's really knowing somebody. Other than that, we don't know them.
I believe they're dedicated to delivering a product.
100%.
Everything they do is for the company and for the product end result. That's what I believe.
100%.
Right, let's we'll move on from that one. And if anyone has any questions, question in chat, go and fill out the form, or you can ask questions in chat, but we're just a little bit less likely to catch them. But fill out the form, ask some questions, and we'll read them out.
I saw this picture. I don't know if you've seen this. This was a fan-made interior drawing, and he was asking for some feedback and stuff. But I saw this interior, and I was blown away. But I was like, "Damn, that is some sick interior." I was like, "That is cool."
Needed to have rendered it on a higher detail, but yeah.
Sure.
I get what he's going for, though.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's a bit dusty, but dotted. But it's they've done a nice job. It's kind of like the new, but wear and tear as well, which is kind of nice.
Yeah,
feels a little lived in.
And it had the orange, which I knew Miz would really like and stuff. But I was like, the ground is too bumpy, right? I know, right?
You trip over fucking everything on this ground. This looks like a factory or something.
Yeah, it almost looks like the conveyor or automatic belts or something that would go around rather than actually walking through it.
Yeah. It was pretty cool though. I thought it was a pretty sweet piece. There was a little comment about Reddit. They were talking about the helmets. And again, we talked last week about the helmets and how we don't like the idea of distortion. Now, I looked into this a little bit. I need to look into it a bit more about NASA helmets, but pilot helmets, they do not like glass distortion. So pilot helmets, it basically they make that shit so that if you are getting any sort of distortion on a helmet, you would report that information directly to your superiors, whoever builds this shit, and they would polish and buff that fucker up so you wouldn't get any distortion. They do not want any sort of visual impairment for pilots, and I don't know about NASA helmets, but basically.
But that's exactly what I said last week. It's like people saying, "Oh, it makes it more realistic." Maybe it does, but in reality, we all do exactly. We would do anything possible to get rid of that distortion.
Oh yeah.
So you know, no
people
one
say
wants
it's realism.
Distortion. Yeah,
it's realism. Are you a fighter pilot? Are you an astronaut? You don't know. You work for NASA or something?
And if you want to imagine how about if you were a fighter pilot and that was in your view, you'd be like,
yeah. And the thing is,
it's not good.
I know, and the thing is, they're going to have 2 layers of glass effects. They're going to have your helmet glass, whatever your space helmet you're going to be wearing, and then you have your cockpit.
Yeah, glass as well. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, really? And then you're flying a constellation, and you have your struts inside your helmet, and you have struts that you have to look through in your ship.
Yeah. So I just honestly no, and that for all those reasons, and also here's the thing is I get constantly the alpha police and the fidelity police coming in and just constantly, you know, this that we've all met that street, we've all met that Star Citizen person. He's like, you know, gets anoids in his throat and starts talking about the kind of like the 5th degree of the angle of the action, whatever, won't get some shit to go into orbit or whatever, you know. Well, it's got to be like 30,000 parsecs to get into this, and that's not really accurate, and all that crap. Basically, I can't stand it. It's a fucking.
I call that real sim.
It's a computer game.
A real sim fan.
Game. Yeah, that person. It's fine.
It's not realism. It's a realistic simulation of real life.
And they're always like, it says space simulation. It's a simulated space game. It's meant to be realistic. All that stuff. Anyway, so I'm like, well, here's an argument to say that this is not fucking real. So get rid of it. They're building something for. Again, I've said this before. My biggest concern. I have a few concerns, but one of my frustrations I worry is that Chris Roberts is trying to build a movie into a space game predominantly, so that every action is like a theater. So when you go into your spaceship, it's theater. You climb up the stairs, woo, ground applause, because you got that. We get into the seat spins around, woo, ground applause. Then you get into the cockpit and then you see this wonderful thing, oh, ground applause. You know, everything is, the visor's doing some cool things, and everything's just for film, for theater. But the reality is it's a computer game, and when you do that the first time, you'll be applauding as well. We'll all be doing it. Wow, this is amazing. It's so realistic. It looks like a film. It's beautiful. By the 50th, the 100th, the 20th time of doing this, it becomes incredibly tiresome and incredibly annoying. Tedious. You're trying to do a task. Ultimately, it's a task-related game as well. You're trying to do things. You're not just making a movie.
That's why I think like the first implementation of like say the inner thought process, it was at first, oh yeah, look cool. Look, you got all these hovering text and you can click it, and then there's an element. Well, hang on, no, we need shortcuts for some of these buttons because keep having to open a door by going, oh, let me think about opening this door. Right there, it is. Press the button. Like it's like you said. I think that's probably a good way of giving it as an analogy. Is that the first impression is almost like trying to make it cinematic. Everything that would look cool. If you sat back and just watched this game being played, it'd be like wow. And the same with, and everyone said it about like getting in your seat as well. It was always like, oh yeah, this is cool. Look, my ship spins around. This comes and this does this. But yeah, you do it for the 20th time. It's like just fucking get me in this goddamn ship.
Get me out of the ship.
Let me fly.
Get me out of the ship.
And it's the same as like, while some people will like pressing all the little individual buttons, turning the power on, turning the engine. Some people do just want that flight ready button.
Yeah.
So yeah,
which is great, and I put it in there, and it's like, well, you might want to do a bit more of that flight ready, just to make the game a little bit more appealing for most people who want to buy the
streamline things a bit.
I do like that it's got a bit of both, though. I do think so. If you want to sit there, if you want to be the role player or something like that wants to sit there and take the time, it's nice that it has actually got the option. I do think that's quite good. In the same ways they've deciding to do similar thing with getting into the seat. You know, you can do a quick way in and a slow way in. I mean, realistically, I would see most people just doing the quick way of getting into your seat. But
here's the thing: all that slow, immersive stuff that takes time and money to put into the game.
Yeah,
for sure. So exactly. So yeah, I mean, you know, we talk about aesthetics, Martin, like you're saying in there, which is always kind of interesting. You're like, you know, it's their aesthetic choice, that whatever. Then this is my podcast, and this is Mrs. Podcast, and this is our choice to be able to complain about it. So there you go. That's the way it is. And to argue, I would say, using their own fidelity, you know, all the rest of it, to say that, hey, guess what?
I mean, this is. I think
it's not cool.
Realistically, it's a big. it's a big thing that will be ultimately down. I mean, like it said right on the Kickstarter date, they're building Chris's game. So ultimately, it will be his decision of what he thinks is right. So it may well end up being a game where you think, do you know what, I don't like this. It's too going down the fidelity but it is his idea of a game. So we can give out input and tell him what we like. It will depend a little bit on what he wants towards the end of it.
I mean, if he wants to be blinded with weird kind of things flying around on his screen because whatever, it's fine. But like we said, it's like it's not really in real life, and it's not wanted in real life. So why would you even waste what HC's saying? Why waste the resources on something that's kind of not really not?
But that's a debate that they're constantly having. That's what I'm trying to say. They're
I
debating the reality versus fun, and that sometimes I don't think they get it sometimes.
Well, no, I think they do listen to the community on this, because we've seen this where they sped up the exit animations for
when they
ships.
Implement it, implement it with that. Because sometimes I'm sure, like when I spoke to some people and they said, "Oh, I haven't even flown the ships, or I haven't even played that part of the game," because it's such a big company. Not everybody plays every part. So you kind of some of these things you have actually got to play it. Because I remember doing some of the Advocacy testing, and the very first flight, or just getting out of the bed, and you think, has anyone actually tried this? Because it's a nightmare. This doesn't flow. Yeah. This doesn't feel like it's not even a game being able to be played this way. So that's the only thing. It's like without that context of testing it. But yeah, I know they do listen to feedback, which is why we give it like this on these shows.
We're fans. We're fans of the project.
We love it. We really do love it.
We discuss it. We discuss it. I mean, there are times I love playing the slow-mo style gameplay sometimes. I love just when I'm cruising and I just get my ship and I'm happy to watch, and I'm just kind of doing that, what I would call the theater of showing the game as a streamer to other people, or the theater of just getting into things. I love that and stuff. But when I'm in the middle of combat and I'm actively trying to get somewhere or get back to a fight or do something kind of reasonably quickly, or someone's called for a distress or whatever, I don't want to spend 5 minutes watching my my thing spin around, or an hour and a half climbing up a stair, or and then get into the combat and then I'm blinded by all the glare of the sun as it hits 3 different types of glass and smears across my screen, and I'm like, I can't see anything. Oh my god, which pip am I using? Because I've got 20 different location pips, which I don't know which one is. I'm looking at, oh look, there's Struck B of Port Olisar. It's indicating that's a landing zone for me for some reason, because I'm fighting somebody over here. I mean, I'm sure all these things would be cleared up. I know later on we could all fine, but I'm just saying right now, these kind of things, gameplay mechanics for me are, I just don't do the glass. It's not needed. Keep it as real. In real life, they don't do it. Don't do it in the game. If you're all about simulation, then it's not in there in real life. They don't want it, so don't put it in the game.
And we don't want it in the game.
Other things more important.
Keep it cool. If you're trying to get rid of it in real life, you're probably not going to want it in game either.
Yeah, exactly right. Why would you want to? Exactly, like
that's why we can't get married in game. No, just
you're adding it. Okay, so here's the thing. So somebody, like, this has got me thinking about this. So we've all had the cyclone, and somebody posted a picture, said I was riding my cyclone and the wheels fell off. And I'm kind of I was thinking about it the other day. I was going, because the wheels do fall off the cyclone, they do break and all the rest of it. Do we know why the wheels break off?
At the moment, it's just a bug, isn't it? It's not, or is it taking? Because it's not taking damage. That you can't damage them, can you still?
But this is my thing. I was wondering, is that because, like, effectively they built it, like all ships and all vehicles and stuff, they do break apart. When you hit them with damage, they explode and all the bits. Is that
one of the break points? It's probably some of the break points in it.
The wheels come off.
Yeah.
So in theory, it's taking damage. Is it like a case of it's just breaking because it's broken, or is it because it's wear and tear? Because we know about, like, HC, you pointed this out to me, is that the ships are actually, if you look at the statistics on your parts of the ships, they do get worse over time the more you use them, right?
That's for components. That's for components.
So yeah, I was wondering,
I think the wheels, it's more of the physicalized damage state. As you're driving, you hit a bump, and then you have some desync, and then the server registers as you're suddenly one of your wheels went a mile up into the air and then came down, but in reality it didn't, and then it just suddenly just gets hit with a massive amount of damage and then breaks. That's kind of what I think is maybe happening here.
Okay. Because I was curious about it. Yeah, well,
or a manufacturing defect.
Maybe it could be manufacturing defect.
Didn't tighten the lug nuts.
It's made by Drake.
We just take it for granted, but no one's ever really kind of, like, I was rummaging around to see if I could find anything on an explanation to find out exactly why the wheels and stuff were breaking and stuff. And I don't know if anyone does have a reference point.
I mean, if the axles of my car just drop off after driving it for a few years, I'm not going to be best pleased.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the best wear and tear that you could have in a game. I mean, a flat tire maybe, but the actual wheels just coming off.
Oh, because I was just thinking, I was wondering if it was a deliberate. Because the reason I was going, if it was a deliberate, like they're wanting wear and tear on the vehicles to break down, so you have to be repaired. And we know, is 3.3 going to have repair in it? Hang on, where's the roadmap?
I can't remember.
3.3.
I think it will have wear and tear eventually. I'm not sure this falling apart is part of the wear and tear. But
I don't think this is.
I think the
wheels
are
wear and tear.
where it's been designed to break. If it got blown up, for example, I think that's probably what it is because they have break points.
Okay, so because I was just thinking, because it says on the thing we got repair next patch, so I was just wondering, I was thinking, oh, maybe this would be kind of a cool, they're making this as a feature, they're testing it now, they're testing out maybe kind of like breakpoints on ships to be on vehicles, land-based vehicles, component parts, whatever, for repairing, because it's becoming more, it is a thing, it's going to be a thing, it's going to become a greater thing as we progress into 3.3 from 3.2. I know we haven't got 3.2 yet, but I'm just saying going into 3.2 is just around the corner. I mean, we're in June now, so I'm expecting. When would we expect 3.2 to be released? If it's this is the first one was released first quarter. This second quarter would be what, June, July?
The end of this month, June 30th.
End of this month. Yeah. So in theory, 3.2 will be released depending on what gets in, but it'll be released.
Yeah.
The end of this month. So, and then we'll be on to the next section. So, okay, cool. Right, move on. Just interesting. And then I was just going to talk about, someone was talking about in Reddit, they were asking about the Hammerhead running costs, but we'll talk about that another day. Here's the thing. Okay, so the Avenger Titan Advocacy Edition, someone was like, again on Reddit, was going, I really will hope they give us the black version. And I was like, no, the black version is the Advocacy.
Yeah.
And then this got me thinking about the Advocacy as obviously they're kind of like the SWAT kind of equivalent police type of force.
The Spectres of Star Citizen. And
I was thinking, we know we can steal pirate ships kind of like now. And I was thinking, I really hope we can steal their ships if we, like we do in like Grand Theft Auto, you can steal the SWAT van or whatever. So I'm expecting you should be able to steal an Advocacy ship.
I'm expecting that when Star Citizen, this is just me kind of tinkering with the idea up here. I'm expecting that some of the high level guild raids or guild events will be stealing entire bangles from the UEE military. Like people will get their I'm dead serious. People get their drop ships, their Idrises, their javelins, and they're like, we're gonna steal a fucking bangle today, and we're gonna steal all the military hardware in there. We're gonna try to take it all as a whole unit, and that's gonna be like at least 100 people, maybe more, to make that operation go off, or maybe even a kingship. You steal Vandal kingship for all its internal, because they said, and this is why I think that they wrote the Vandal to use components from other races, is because if you take down a kingship, you can have all sorts of exotic alien components that you can maybe install in your ship. Maybe some high-level military stuff you can get out of a Vandal kingship. You just gotta destroy it and scrap it. A couple of reclaimers can probably pull some cool shit out of it.
We're hunting bagels, boys. Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna find gold coins in a mud crab. You're gonna find like a purple power plant for your Hornet. That's what you're going to think when you blow up.
I was thinking, when we hunt Bengals, everyone has to have like a white suit, kind of like an African safari suit with the white hat and like a really big like elephant gun type of thing. And we're going out hunting for Bengals.
Bengals.
Oh, it's such a bad dad joke. But what was interesting about the Advocacy for me as well is that I was thinking like, how cool would it be, not just a steal one, but I was just wondering, do you think we could have a storyline where we could maybe you could do that as a career? You could join the Advocacy and become one of their military type of police type of thing. Do missions. Or do you think we'll get to do? Do you think we'll get to do missions? I'm sure we'll get to do missions.
You'll be doing missions for the Advocacy. All the factions will have missions. I suspect you'll be doing missions for the UEE, just like in Privateer. You had missions for the UEE military and stuff you can do as in Privateer. Same with Freelancer. You can do missions for all sorts, piracy and bounty hunters and the local governments. So I suspect you'll have the same system here.
Do you think rewards, you get ship from them? Do you think they reward you with ships and gears and stuff?
I think they will reward you with access to their gear. You'll have, if you get your reputation high enough, you'll be able to buy from a certain store somewhere and get access to and have the ability to be within UEE space with that gear installed in your ship.
Do you think it'll be a case of you'll start off, because I know some people are keen on the police, because I mean there's a you know the blue version, is the blue version of there's the police cutlass, right, which is kind of the NPC police cutlass, and I know some people love the idea of obviously being, you know, whatever reason, being a police force in space, and they love upholding the law, and I think that's really admirable and great, and it'll be quite fun to see that, and I'm hoping they build a story where they could potentially join the advocacy and become part of an elite police force, as it were, and get special gear like that. And I was thinking, you're talking about Lynn, the Vandal stuff, getting special gear. I think it's anyway, sorry, I'm just theory crafting, but it's
I think that'd
really
be
cool
more down to reputation based rather than actually joining the people, I would have thought.
Would you think you could potentially join them though? Like you could actually join the advocacy and become part of like patrolling and protecting.
Possible, but I would say probably not, because that way they get to control it more. They get to make them more. They get to make them more special. They get to, if they want to do a storyline with them or whatever. They haven't got to worry about the player base being involved. It's the same way as like the pirates, for example. You could maybe make your own pirate gangs. You could build up reputation with the certain pirate gangs that will be NPC ones. But I doubt they'll let you join them because it gives them more flexibility what they do with them.
More control, more flexibility over the advocacy. I suspect they'll probably want the advocacy to be like, this person's naughty, we want them to die. So they set the advocacy on you, and it's kind of like the in-game immune system for like the naughty players. Like, hey, I'm in this weird outlaw system, nobody can find me, and suddenly the advocacy shows up. That's kind of like their hit squad. I don't know if they want the players to be part of that, or if they probably just want the control over it so they can have it do what they want with their algorithms, or they can just give it to like a GM or something. Suddenly advocacy just spawns on top of you because the GM said you got to die today.
So yeah, it was something that, and I was thinking about it and I was going, yeah, I'm sure there'll be a story on there, because there's going to be lots of missions and stuff, but I was like, that would be a cool story to have. There is some, this is talking about the difference between space games, real life, and what we expect. So I'll pitch this up as a kind of an understanding. So most people, when you see a building fall down, are used to watching it in slow motion, okay? Because you don't really watch buildings fall down on a regular basis unless that's your job. So it falls down really fast in real life, and you're like, oh my God, that was really quick. Because we're so programmed through film and through media to fall down for a certain percentage, that's what we assume. So when the actual thing happens, it's different. So this picture is from a plane, and this is of dunes someone took a photo on Reddit and posted it up, and they were saying, oh, this looks like Daymar. And I was like, if you actually were to make that in the game exactly like that, people would say copy and paste. Because if you look at each one of those, they all look exactly the same, like copy and paste. But that's real life.
Well, they don't when you look closely, but they do look like it's just. It looks like what's it called, the generated thing gone wrong.
Procedural generation,
procedural generation gone wrong. Someone's like pressed the button without too much of a field. But actually, Martin Mies says reality is unrealistic. And funnily enough, saying that, okay, so I mentioned this a little bit on my Paint, Prattle and Roll stream. So I'm painting the little figures and models that you get. Now, to make some of the base, I put little rocks on the figures. Now, they're obviously already rocks because I glue actual rocks on. But because I've painted the model, the rocks look wrong. They don't look right. So you have to then paint over the rocks. Like I undercoat, paint the rocks, and then I paint them to look like rocks. It's weird, but there is a point when reality looks too unrealistic for the thing that you're doing, and that is exactly it. The real rocks don't look right for what you're doing, so you have to paint over it and make them look like a rock with the paint palette that you're using. It's weird, but yeah.
I found it quite interesting and fascinating how, because we're used to seeing certain things a certain way for so long. We're pre-programmed to a certain kind of thing because we're not used to seeing it. So when we do see it, it's different. So anyway, I just thought it was fascinating. That was really cool. We'll ignore the next one. Here's a topic of conversation, because we're talking about another game, and I like to always talk about other games as well. Everyone knows this about the podcast. I like to compare Star Citizen to other games. Now, we all probably know about a game called Dual Universe.
Oh God.
Okay, so we know about it. So
I've heard of it.
You've known about it. So I've posted a link. If you've never heard of Dual Universe, if you're playing Star Citizen, you must know about.
Which one do you want me to show? The YouTube one?
Or? We have the. Why don't you show the Dual Universe, the E3 presentation first. So this was the first because it's a short one. This is a really short one, so we don't have the audio on it, but this is the first one. So this one, you can watch the YouTube. So this is pre-alpha stuff. So basically the conversation behind this is this going to, can Star Citizen and this type of game exist in the same world for the same people? Because they, I believe, came out and actually challenged Chris Roberts or something. I think, I don't know about their game.
Actually, I remember this. Chris Roberts actually gave them a shout out. Actually gave the Kickstarter a shout out.
Okay,
I remember it. Yeah, he was like, "Hey, look at these guys!
Look
at these guys!"
A lot of them once, giving them shout outs.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and so it got me thinking about it, and I was kind of wishing, obviously this is just, what I love about it. I mean, they might capture the fun element, which is what we were talking about earlier. It could give us everything fun. Like if dogfighting in this game, for example, is amazingly good, you can customize and build your own spaceship. You can customize your own planets and all the rest of it, and build your own things and do like a Fortnite job. Could this game be better than Star Citizen? Because Star Citizen could look amazing, but not have.
Could is always an option. Could it could be yes is always yes. It could be always better. Any game could always be better. But there's the reality of when it hits the shelf, it's what the fans, the players and the fans determine what is and what isn't good. So
if you go to the next one, the Dual Universe, this is pre-alpha development. So this
it
shows
could also be a very short-lived game. Whereas,
I know, right? I know. I know. But this is, at the end of the day, Star Citizen. We could reel off a list of games. Star Citizen's already like No Man's Sky. I think they've reeled off a few other ones. I mean, Elite Dangerous. Oh gosh, there's a few others. I can't remember them now off my head, but this one, this guy's done just as a kind of a mock version of all the content. But what I found interesting is that they showed already 200 people approximately 200 people all in a circle in this. They're already building. They've already got trees and basic already foliage in the game, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And this is going to be out when? Like, is this going to be?
I've seen this tech demo. Those aren't people. Those are
there's a tech demo of that wasn't
that was
people.
Like, they had bots. They had They were just showing how many computer instances they could have in the local area.
Yeah, but then they showed that they had water and they had base building.
Dangerous.
And they had.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Who's showing all the different kind of games and like kind of mixing them all together and just showing the kind of the genre. And to see, are these, are they this, could anyone tell the difference and which one would be the game, for
I think
you?
what they've managed to achieve with a smaller budget and a smaller team, they've done really well. And there's a few out there now that are doing that. There's Galaxy Emporium or something like that, which is very similar, which are doing a great job.
Imperium, Galactic Imperium, Imperium or something.
Yeah,
no, something.
I'm
trying to remember what it's called.
Yeah. So for those people that played it, what's it like? I haven't played it yet. It's the only problem. Reason I'm not going to buy it is because ultimately it's on a subscription, and I hate subscriptions. So that's what it's.
Dual Universe. That's why. Yeah, I remember Toby backing it when they first announced it, but to me it was like, I wasn't playing a sub game for that, to be honest.
But then I look at it and I go, well, thousands of pounds on Star Citizen or whatever it is now, and I'm kind of, or whatever the amount of money.
You could have bought one less ship and bought it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A part of me is kind of thinking to myself, I could have probably subscribed for 3 years, and probably that would be more than enough time to enjoy the game versus one ship or two ships or whatever. So I was kind of thinking, subscription. You got sometimes you get your head. You have to kind of take your head off and readjust it because you're so used to Star Citizen and it's kind of a bit weird. You kind of got to shake it around a little bit and go, hang on a minute, slap yourself in the face, take a moment. You just spent the equivalent of subscription for about 20 years on this game.
Yeah. Well, you have.
So, I have. Yeah. But anyone that spent a reasonable amount to enjoy the game at the moment, I'd say you need to spend about.
I mean, this is probably another conversation with something else, but we had a little bit of a chat on my Discord about it as well. Like in terms of like MMOs, obviously started off with subscription based, then this whole free to play and loot boxes and everything else came in. And then it looks like some are trying to go back down to the subscription-based model again. But like one of the articles I found just recently is like the top MMO is still World of Warcraft, which has been subscription from day one. And it's like, well, the subscription can't be such a bad model if they're managing to make it work so well. And it's paying for all their updates and all their upkeeps and everything else. So it's
well, here's the thing.
Go on.
I've been doing research on some MMOs, and some of the problem is the MMO genre is pretty much dead. Like proper MMOs like World of Warcraft, you're not competing with World of Warcraft right now. World of Warcraft pretty much has the fantasy genre locked down. A lot of people tried. They ended up having to go to free to play with a lot of the big name ones, like the Old Republic. Eventually, just had to go to free to play. There was other stuff like
started off sub, and that went free to play.
Then had to free to play. The thing about free to play is that you expand your user base, especially if you're going to be a very heavily PvP. Or you're going to have some sort of PvP element in your game. PvP requires players, all types of players. If you go free to play, you remove the cost to entry of a subscription fee. A lot of people see that $15 a month, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to be at, like EVE Online." Look at EVE Online. There are players who have everything in EVE Online, and you're going to tell me, as a new player, I have to go up against them? Like, oh no! But the free to play element looks at like, well, I ventured nothing. I got to play a game for a little while, and maybe they get your hooks into you, and you're like, oh, I kind of like playing this. Like maybe I could buy this little thing. I could buy this little thing. But in reality, free to play is designed to catch the whales, the people with the really deep pockets that have they have very low impulse control, and that usually ends up supporting the project. But so, if you, like I said, if you have a PvP kind of stuff like Eve does, you end up with just more targets playing your game if you like the PvP kind of stuff. So it doesn't really hurt you that much, but there's drawbacks.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the question, can again, this is just me playing a question. This isn't my personal opinion. This is just a thought. Is can the world exist? Can the game base, because Star Citizen is such a heavy game, can you play multiple games? Can you play Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, Dual Universe, Beyond Good and Evil 2, or do you think it'll be a case of there will be a divide in terms of there will be the diehard Star Citizen, I only play this, there'll be the Elite Dangerous diehard only this, and then there'll be the Dual Universe, I only play this?
I think well, with the sub-based stuff, it does definitely, especially old traditional MMOs, they seem to take over your life enough that was the only game you played.
Yeah,
that was definitely the case. It happened to me. Like people list a lot of single player games that were out during playing up, like Mass Effect and BioShock and that. And it's like I haven't played any of them because I got lost in MMOs, and they did literally take everything up. If you've got a good MMO and a good community, it will take your life up, because that's where you're going. It's kind of like Discord now at the moment, while you're waiting for Star Citizen, you're logging on there all the time, chatting to your community, because that's where everything is until you can get the game sorted. But I mean, the advantage that Star Citizen will have over a traditional MMO, for example, would be that you don't need to level up. So what Vertigo just said about Eve is like you come in and you're at the bottom and all these rich people at the top, you've got no chance of competing, whereas in Star Citizen you can come in at any time and you can just fly your ship, do your missions, do your cargo runs. You don't need to think, oh, I need to level up, I need to get to 50, oh, everybody's at end game and I'm not. That isn't there. So you have more chance of being able to play other games, I would have thought. Whether you want to is a different thing.
That's the nice thing. Chris Roberts says we're primarily going to be NPC focused, 9 to 1. Players are going to be outnumbered by NPCs. So I think we're going to have more of a PvE focused MMO in Star Citizen, where players can do PvP, but it's going to be kind of like you're going to have a reason to fight each other. It's going to be fairly easy to avoid another player if you so desire. So that kind of gameplay, I haven't played very many MMOs, but this is just kind of me extrapolating what I understand about gameplay, is that you're not going to have to be there all the time. You're not going to. So I think there will be time with Star Citizen. Like you can kind of play other games. You're not going to have to be there to grind out credits to keep your count up. You're not going to have to play catch up with other people, essentially. And that's kind of where multi-crew is coming from as well. You can crew someone else's ship if you just want to do some repairs to your friend's Hornet one day. You can just like, oh, I'll play a couple hours with you. I'll just help you repair your loadout and whatnot, and we'll earn some credits doing this and that, and then we'll log out and we'll see you tomorrow or something like that. So you don't have to maintain your character.
But then the worry with that is like any game that I know of, again, this is my perspective on this, any game that I know of that is that kind of slow, easy going, like ain't going to make a shit ton of money, and they've got 4 studios to pay for.
Well, they're gonna have downsizing towards release. They're gonna let go of a lot of people, and that happens to every game. GTA 5, the development team required to actually develop the game is usually much larger than the release team, almost always.
Okay.
So they're gonna have downsizing when they get towards release.
Okay, if let's just say they do that, that's fine. They could balance the books. But then in terms of as a gameplay, just kind of like it's just a PvE. You know, that could be really boring.
Oh yeah.
Just
it's up to Chris Roberts. I totally agree with you. It's up to Chris Roberts. It's going to be up to Chris Roberts to make this engaging. I've said this before many times on the podcast, on my stream. Some people are building Star Citizen into something it may not turn out to be. A lot of people may be very unhappy with the way Star Citizen turns out. And one of the features that they've talked about a lot is the NPCs outnumbering the player base. And many people, they want to be the PvP, they want to be the starfighters. Like, you may be fighting NPCs most of the time, and that'd be very unsatisfying for you.
Well, because you need the grind. Like, I'm just thinking, because you don't. Here's the thing, right? Okay, you talk about people like just playing casually and whatever else. What you don't like, let's just say Dual Universe comes on. It's PvP orientated. It's a bit more simple. Okay, granted, because they haven't got the budget, whatever. But it's a bit more simple. But they've got the fun. It's engaging. They've got everything. The core heart of what makes a fun kind of space simulation game, combat game, or whatever. Plus, a bit like kind of Fortnite. The way I look at it is, it's a bit like, imagine you've got like PUBG. Okay, PUBG is like the visual looks better. The battle royale, original type of battle royale, and then you have Fortnite comes along, a bit more stylized, a bit more fun, building things. You can build own things, and a bit more, you know, it's got all the different characters and the rest of it. Plus, it's a free to play model, and that's captivated loads of people. I'm just talking about Twitch in terms of playing PvP, and I just was like, you know, could that happen to Star Citizen? Could somebody? I know it could, but do you think Dual Universe? Or could be that game, or maybe that game that could potentially steal people away, because it could be a bit more simple, actually more fun gameplay based on what we've seen about it and read about it. What do you think, Professor Starset?
I think Dual Universe is way too early. Like, it's way too early to say how that's going to go.
I think you're also comparing different games. Like, just because they're space doesn't make them the same game. So it's like Ark, for example. Is Ark taking people away from MMOs? Or Conan, which is another one we just got. Now, for me, it's open world. Yes, we can build our own houses. It's amazing. Isn't that fantastic? It's got nothing on a game like ESO or something like that, which has got quests and storylines and everything else. Because as much as sandbox can be fun, and this is what I made part of my problem with Conan is that you got all the resources so quickly, that all the bases were built so quickly, and if you took the PvP element away from it, it's kind of boring. It's because, like, I've logged in after a week and everybody's built this super amazing base. All right, I can sit there and make my own base, but you're limited to what you're allowed to kind of do, and it's there's nothing there to it. And the Dual Universe could well be the same as that. It's fun. You can build your own ship. It's nice. It's enjoyable. How long is that enjoyment going to last before there's nothing else? There's no other depth to it. You're just making your ship. You make you to think. There's another one, Worlds Adrift, that's out recently or in early access. I've seen people showing that off. I gave it a little try. But it's all down to the PvP. You make your own ship. It looks fun. But I find these things seem to be they hold the attention for a lot less. And even Ark, the only Ark that I see that seems to do really well are the ones that are more role playing on their servers. So they're making their story a bit more like that. And
that kind of comes down to like the Minecraft syndrome. Like, you look at Minecraft has creative mode and survival mode. What's the point of survival mode once you've pretty much built your thing? It's just, zombies running around messing everything up for you. In creative mode, you can build whatever you want, but creative mode only really interests a small percentage of gamers, just period. But I think what Minecraft really lends itself to is there is so much flexibility within Minecraft, is you can really just build your own fun inside Minecraft, and you can have your friends come with you. You can build your crazy like little ninja fortress with traps, and you have your friends run through it, and you have this great old time with it. And games like Ark, I think they kind of have that spark where you can kind of build your own thing, but at the end of the day, once you've built that thing, what's left for you? PvP, I guess. You're gonna have people assault your base and try to take your stuff, and you're gonna have these cool PvP fights that really don't happen because people assault your base when you're asleep, you're offline, And that's kind of something that affects
in theory,
an MMO
it always
kind of
sounds and looks a lot better than it ever actually plays out, I find, on a lot of those.
Yeah, and really, you end up with this what I call a not MMO problem, where you have a game that has MMO-like qualities like Ark, Destiny, EVE, Elite Dangerous. These games build some MMO-like features into their gameplay, but in reality, they're not swinging through. They're not putting the power behind the swing that they should, because they don't want to soak the expense of having to support some of the more heavier end MMO stuff, the server side. Like there's a lot of data you have to handle.
Like 60 players a server is not an MMO.
It's nothing.
It's
So you kind of end up with this watered down multiplayer experience where it's like an MMO would add more depth to the end game. Like, why am I building this fortress? Well, you're building this fortress to defend it from these evil raiders, or player raiders or player factions trying to assault your base. And that's why you want to build this base, to give you resources so you can assault other player bases, or so you can have resources to equip your characters to assault this raid, this big boss, this giant mountain of a boss, or something like that. And that's the end game, kind of like World of Warcraft, where you're fighting dinosaurs essentially.
Or hunting
at the end of the day.
Yeah, so going back onto the original thing, is that I think that's what will keep Star Citizen going for longer, or keeping their devs on board and things like that, is because they will have to make the story, they will have to make the gameplay that is enjoyable for us to play and keep playing. Like, it's a sandbox to a degree, but there's also, we want missions, we want stories, we want the Squadron 42
things to
aspect of it as well. And so normally I think Sherman mentioned about wow, they kept a lot of their devs on because, and this was something that I think, not ESO, I think it was the Secret World or something, promised that every week they were going to drop a content patch with a story, and it became unfeasible because they just didn't have enough dev to be able to do that work. But if you could do that, if you had a big enough team that could drop stories every week or at least every fortnight, that would help keep a living feel to your world and keep people keep coming back. Like if you imagine big NPC wars, like the Vandal actually pushing in on a front, and what you do affects that front that the Vandal have, and it might push them back in the galaxy. And that sort of stuff is what's going to give you investment into this game, and the depth over something like Dual Universe, which is just build your shit and fly.
We mentioned previously on the podcast about players building content, like stories and becoming mission givers and all the rest of it, and like Q&A or whatever equivalent. Literally, they go, developers work in the game, live in the game, and but no, they said no, but they gave me a reason, which was a really good reason, and I think it was Sherman said to me, he said, yeah, I've heard this idea before, as he does. We've heard these ideas. Format madness. You're so unoriginal. But he said, what the but we said, but the problem is and yeah, he's SSD drive. What are you talking about? I'm a pro. With a broken computer. But he said, which was very true. He said, I think he referenced a game. I can't remember the game he referenced, but he said this particular game, they did something similar, and they had to literally stop it because people were, shall we say, making all sorts of very naughty content stuff for the game. Missions, it was all very obscene and all sorts of, like you can imagine, so there'll be one or two trolls out there who would probably do some sort of terrible, terrible type of thing, and then you'd have your social justice warrior people doing the opposite, and it would just turn really messy very quickly. So I immediately was like, okay, I get that. It would be a litigation and a organize it and a control would be a nightmare, but I still think they could do it within the confines of their building, have like actual physical staff on board who actually make and do stuff, content, it's their job, is they play with other players and build content. I still think they could do that, but at a much smaller scale. I think it might be hard to make an impact on such a big game. But we'll see. Moving on. This was another question. This is the last bit on Reddit, and then we'll move into ATV. This person asked a question. He says, what role do you think Tevarin technology will play in the verse? Which again got me thinking. I was very interested. We don't know much about the Tevarins. We've only have a few ships from them. We've seen a few pictures of them. Obviously, they're the bird-like kind of creatures and stuff. But he just talks about, from the prowl of what I've seen, amazing stealth technology. They use gravlift technology in a way that other races have never thought of. In addition, it's about the lore. And they've mentioned their unique and superior shields. Being used on, I think, the Banu. Is it the Banu who've used the Tevarin shields? Is that right? The Banu Defender?
Sure.
Yeah. So, because obviously they trade with them. So, after all, the Tevarin are supposed to be Zen warriors depicted as some sort of Japanese lore. So, someone took a picture referencing more an Egyptian style as well, which I thought was pretty cool. But just to go back to the question, it's like, how do you? I mean, we don't know much about the alien races too much, but how would you see more of the Tevarin in the game from what you know about them? Do you need to know more, or
do you mean in terms of what we see them and what they're doing, or do you mean their influence on the stuff we're using?
Yeah, or like a bit of both probably. Like, how do you see them being part of the gameplay, and how would you, how do you base? I mean, it's very hard to say too much because we don't know much about them, so this is a bit too theory crafty. But because we do have the Prowler, and we do have a little bit of the technology, and we know a little bit about them. But if you could just, what would you like the Tevarin? Okay, let's change the conversation. What would you like them to be like
to see is so we were talking a little bit just now about the progression of the game. This is the sort of thing I'd like to see, that the more, so the game starts off with where you're having the little contact with some of these alien races, and as time goes on and you have more contact, that you see their technology start seeping into some of the new stuff that comes out. So like Misk are already using some alien technology. It'd be cool if you'd see some of the manufacturers start adopting these things, the more you get contact with these races. Otherwise, from what we would see from them, I don't think we really know enough to kind of, in my opinion,
I can see. Really. I can see more like close range stuff coming from the Tevarin. Like they looked like basically with the Prowler and their shield system, they looked like they really liked close range combat stuff, like bladed weapons, shotguns, assault rifles, SMGs, that kind of stuff. I think we had a missile launcher show up from the Tevarin recently on Reddit. Someone posted a picture of that. I have no idea how you hold the damn thing. I'm looking at it. I'm like, where the fuck do you grab onto this thing?
Wasn't that a Jean one? Or
was that Jean or was that Tevarin? I can't remember.
Someone said it had Jean writing on it. So
oh, it was Jean rocket launcher.
Yeah.
I was wrong. So, like, I would imagine, like, we may end up seeing more of, like, the Tevarin shields, but I definitely think there's a possibility with, like, expansion packs revolving around that, like Madness said, the idea of, like, I would almost call it feature creep, where you'd have the race open up, trade opens up, and suddenly you start seeing one day, like, a Tevarin expansion pack or something where you have some weird weapons, like you can purchase Concept or something, like a Tevarin ship combination thing.
Yeah, the problem they said with things like that is because of the alien races being built differently and stuff, that just having their stuff to use is less likely, because they wouldn't have fingers in the same place, and size hands or size of them would be completely different. So a gun to a 7, 8 foot, 9 foot Vandal is going to be a bit big on a small little human.
Well,
so
here's the thing, like in
of it, but.
I
believe in one of the secret missions for Wing Commander 2, you actually got your hands on I think it was a Dralthi fighter craft. You actually used that to infiltrate, like the Kilrathi. And you actually, I believe they had to modify the ship so you can fly it, but yeah, I think you may see that, like, aftermarket modifications for a ship, like so you can fly a Tevarin ship even though you're not.
Yeah, modified, like we have with the Vandal stuff.
Yeah. So I expect something like that, or maybe like Jean, Tevarin, Banu combination, like weird, like we took this idea from them, we mixed it into a weapon, now we have a new weapon that shoots laser beams, like it incinerates people, they just dissolve into water or something if you hit them with it, or that kind of stuff. I expect some weird stuff to come out of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That's what I mean. I'm not. I'll find out more about it. I was just curious because they were talking about it. The latest thing that we've seen on Calling All Devs was they talked about the life support components, so you can repair, interact. You don't need, which I thought was quite interesting. So they're not going to make it kind of. I think someone was talking about, like, maybe if they had like variants and stuff. They were saying, "Oh, we're not going to do that because it would be just silly. It's just a life support. Yeah. It's just a fucking life support thing." But you will have to obviously repair it, which I thought was kind of cool. So you will be able to damage life support. And I'm kind of curious. There's like, okay, then you'll have to put your helmet on. If you've not got a helmet, you'll have to go and get your gear on to stay alive, which will be interesting to see. Because you'll have two ways of killing people: effectively breaking airlocks to vent, and the other one would be potentially damaging life support. So that how does that work? Does that mean the air vents itself, or I'm guessing that's what it means, right? Like, it's life support.
They have a room system.
Regulates temperature. Temperature keeps it warm, so you don't.
Well, yeah, temperature I think is going to be a thing. Also, oxygen is going to be a thing. Well, if you ever played FTL, I'm having flashbacks of fucking FTL here. Yeah. Have you gentlemen played FTL? It's actually a pretty good game. But FTL, you could do that too.
Is that the little 2D view game.
Yep, the 2D through game.
Yep. I have played it.
So you can actually have your life support system damaged in that game, and then you can have your ship run out of air just as your characters use it up in the ship. Yeah. You can also have hull breaches happen in that game, and then oxygen gets sucked out of that room. If someone opens a door to that room, it'll start sucking oxygen from the room next to it, and it'll start venting that atmosphere. If you have a fire breakout, you can actually vent your ship. If you have fire breakout, you want to put the fire out, just vent all the atmosphere to the fire, and that'll put the fire out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I expect here. Like the O2 generator, they said it's going to take fuel and it's going to produce oxygen, which is weird. Like, it's, okay, how's that work? Whatever. It's a video game. Who cares? Just wizard. We're going to wizard some oxygen into the ship. Just don't ask questions. But yeah, I support it. Like trying to make different O2's generators. What are you going to do there? What are you going to do with that? Like, it's a generic thing. You take your repair tool, you wave it at it, and it repairs it. I'm fine with that.
The other thing they're talking about was name tags. So they talked about it in the previous one. They're still deciding. I don't know if we mentioned about name tags. I mean, what's each one of ours kind of opinions on name tags? I mean, I personally think that my helmet, if I'm wearing my helmet and it can scan things, it should be able to tell me your ID code, unless you've got a blocker, you're wearing a port or something. You've used one of your hard points to use a scanning blocker or something so that I can't scan you. But then obviously if you're doing that, then I know there might be something up with you as an individual. So that's going to make you dodgy to me. But I personally think that it should be there. But without the helmet, you shouldn't know. Unless you've got a digital
that would be interesting without the helmet. Not having it with the helmet, or like what they're doing with the new scanning system. If you had a certain thing on your helmet, like you turned it into a scanning mode, and then maybe got some form of ID. But then that would presume that everybody's admitting an ID.
Well,
which would be like RFID, like what do they call that? A friend or foe indicator? No, what do they call it with airplanes? Transponder.
Transponder. You should have that as like I think that if you are grouping up as a party as well, so you should know who your friends are. And
I think party maybe. The problem with having it out of party, it becomes difficult. If people are trying to play more stealth mechanic, or trying to blend in with the crowd, and then you've got their names sticking up. Do you identify everybody, NPCs and PCs? It's a tricky one, and I think it's going to divide. It's going to divide people. Yeah, you can switch it on and off, but the person that's trying to hide from you can't stop you from seeing it.
Oh no, but that's what I'm saying about having a hard point. You can have a jammer. So you sacrifice if you want to be invisible, you sacrifice one of your hard points on your suit as a jammer, so it effectively jams the people scanning you, so you can't see their information, but you sacrifice something on your suit. So again, I'm all about personal choices of the gameplay that you go for will have an impact. So that hard point that you lose to jam you means that maybe you can't carry an extra med pen, or you can't carry another piece of tools. You can't be a jack of all trades. You have to, actively be doing. That's how I kind of envision it. But I also like the idea of you saying about having too many people's names on things.
Oh, it just would be a mess.
I would have that so you can switch that on and off, or you just go for a color-based system on a map, like an indicator to say green is good, red is bad. Kind of old school, really simple.
I wanted them to get rid of the damn triangles above everybody's head in Star Marine. I want to have like holographic badges on their arm or something that's a little bit less, because I'm aiming for headshots based off that triangle now. That's that was looking thing.
Just aim at the triangle and shoot. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, like holographic badges or something, like armbands.
Yeah, yes. So that's my view on it. Anyone else?
I don't know.
Anything else?
I think they kind of a blend of what we were just talking about, like maybe ways of having it on and off. Yeah.
I think the answer's there. Honestly, I think just going with nothing, I think would be a bad move. I think making it more of a feature game would be a better move. I hope. I think in my head it's just a question of how much effort and energy it is to implement. It could be quite complicated, and I don't know. We'll see.
I want to be able to identify people. Like, if I'm looking at somebody, I want to be able to look at them, maybe point my finger at them and say, "Who is this dude? What's his username?" So I know who I'm dealing with. Like, I've actually killed followers on my channel, people who want to play with me. They gleefully run into my cutlass when the ramp is down, and I turn around and just gun them down. It's like, who is this guy? We're not taking chances.
Well, I think a lot of people have said, like, if you group up, if you actually form a group, then it definitely should have the name or a way to identify it. I don't think that is a bad thing, because you've given consent to have that information, if you like. Was it the emails that we all keep getting at the moment? It's like that. Sign this. We're going to be using your data when you join this group.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to sell your. I mean, keep your data.
We've updated our privacy policy, by the way, for the Asylum podcast. We need everybody to type consent. I consent into chat right now, because we're going to be selling your data to.
Everyone's like, no, I don't consent. Leave. Also, all the people leave.
Thanks, Vertigo. One way to ruin the podcast. It's like,
what?
All those they're selling our data. Fuck that.
I don't consent. I don't consent. We are selling all your information right now. Hang on a minute. Where's the? Oh no, let's move on.
It's worth 3 bits and a kappa emote. There we go. We've sold it.
Kappa emote. There you go.
You all didn't realize, but you're all patrons now.
We're all patrons now.
You're all patrons to the Asylum now, whether you liked it or not. So but what did happen is, as you can show, this happened in the middle of the latest call all devs. So this is the Drake. Ooh,
it's not really.
Oh, the Drake thing. That's the literal nothing. Look at that! It's the literal nothing.
Maybe it's nothing. It's just them doing a new logo for it.
Wait a minute! No! There actually is something there.
What is it? What could it be?
It's probably the Vulcan.
Is it ships that we can buy in game? Otherwise, who gives a fuck?
It's like, how is it not?
Who gives a fuck?
So it's one of 3 ships. It's one of 3 ships. It's the Vulcan, the Kraken, or the what was the other 3rd ship they had on the thing? It was the Corsair, the Vulcan, the Kraken, or the you're right, the Vulture, the Kraken, or the Corsair. The Vulture was the dump truck, the small dump truck kind of scrapper ship that was designed to be like the small reclaimer, and then the Corsair was the Connie version of a Drake ship, and then the Kraken was the pocket carrier that everybody was asking for.
Yeah. So it's okay.
And looking at the color scheme, there almost looks like if you change. Honestly, if you look like if you analyze every frame and you kind of maybe adjust the
squiggly lines.
Yeah,
it's almost like one of those magic eye things. So just cross your eyes and do that until you see it.
Do you know? I was thinking, like when they do the Batman in the movie, when they first Michael Keaton, he talks to this what's her name, the blonde girl, and he sees the ink block on the page, and you see whatever you want to see. I'm kind of like, I see what I want to see.
And burning hell, and children being murdered on the streets.
Not going to say what I see. Oh my god! But
I see soon to be dead people.
Clouds,
frames to be used as SES.
I thought we never would talk about that ever again.
Do you see a 3D dinosaur yet?
Exactly.
It's Ark. That's what it is. It's Ark.
Okay, can I ask in chat, who cares? Who actually cares? No, seriously, legit. This is legit. 100%. Who actually really
care?
Do we care? Do we care?
Of course we care. We care because it's another thing about SC. You're not going to care when you see it. It's just another ship, but of course we care. Yeah, I see dollar signs. That's it. I see pound signs for Star Citizen. I see a 30k package just with ships in it.
Why not? 30k. Another $3,000 for that Legatus pack. I mean, come to think of it, they're gonna have to keep re-releasing that Legatus pack every year with all the new ships.
I was just gonna say. I was about to say because they've just done Legatus pack, and the guys are like, "This has got every ship in it, right?" Yeah. Oh yeah, but not the Drake. Was just
not the one. It's gonna have to record Legatus pack volume 2 for $30,000. Next year it's like it's gonna be like the Rocky series. It's just gonna have Rocky: The Revenge of Rambo, Second Blood, Mark III or something.
Change the name of the packs to Keeping Up with the Joneses pack. That's exactly what it is. It's
making the ends meet. The package
constantly. Yeah, this is yeah. I don't know. But we just do like the now CD hits. We have in the UK is now 31,
CD
now
hits.
32, now 33. This is the now. The now.
It was like or it could be the year pack. It could be the 2012 Star Citizen pack where it has just the Constellation, the Hornet, the 300i. You can go back. It's back. Yes. Remember when Star Citizen was full of hope and wasn't a cynical cash grab? We remember. That's why we're offering the 2013 Star Citizen cash grab pack. Right now, you could get into when Star Citizen was full of dreams and hope.
But seriously, I love that idea. Like the 2013 Legatus pack, the 2018 Legatus pack, the 2000. I love the idea of just like every year we and then that way you can go back.
Don't give them any ideas, Madness. They are listening to you. They will do this.
Not my idea. It's your idea. I just said now.
I also gave them idea to use the brain from a newborn child to power your hard drive.
That's not a good idea. That's a dangerously scary idea.
Wow.
Okay, well, as we're getting not drunk on the stream, but I guess we are getting drunk.
What about the Advocacy patch? You don't pack. You don't actually see what's in it. You just blindly pay for it.
The Q&A
it's just an IOU. It's an IOU from Chris Roberts, handwritten IOU spaceships. Here you go. You get a piece of paper, shows up in the mail.
Oh, God. Honestly, people come up with some great names for packs. Because I'm just thinking of the Q&A pack, the bug pack. Literally every bug known to the game is in this pack, so you can enjoy every single bug. Today I think I'm going to load up the not being able to get in the ship without a person in the ship with me.
I think they should wait a minute. Anybody remember that Wario game? Remember that for the Nintendo? What was that? The Wario games? They should have that for bugs in Star Citizen. Like it just every 5 seconds, it's a new bug turns on, and you it's just a surprise. It's just like a kinder surprise. What was it? Kinder surprise or whatever? Kinder surprise. Every time you start up the game, it's just a different ball of shit.
They should just give us the ability to have the game for every year. Like you can get Star Citizen the 2011.
Yeah, just sell it as a release. Just sell it as a release. So this year the game is released. This is the 2018 edition.
I guarantee it. That if we could get the 2017 2.6.3, there would be plenty of people playing that right now to do.
Are we on to that old chestnut?
And there would be.
What can I play? 2.6.3 was the best version of Star Citizen.
No, because people would be in the 2.5. They'll be playing the 2.5.
Can someone at CIG please just send Madness the old version
2.6 the old version
of Star Citizen and let him play it in offline mode? Just let him have it.
So we can shut him up.
And then he goes.
I'll be on my own, going. This is amazing. I can hit everything. There's nothing.
Every podcast he can come on and he can talk about his game. Don't say the version. Just talk about how amazing Star Citizen is. And
you are
so less salty a podcast every week.
I mean, you are just so insufferable, Madness. Every day it's like, remember when 2.6.3 was great? Remember when 2.5 was great? Like, remember when Brexit wasn't a thing?
But when he's like that, it reminds me of when old games when you're playing in the betas and stuff, and they were shit. The patches were shit. But the thing is, the future patches were so shit that you were really romancing over the old patches, even though they were crap. That's what it's like. It's like this wasn't brilliant, but it's like in his head, it's like the best fucking thing. It was a game that could be released. It wasn't, but to him, it was because of the latest patches. It's like.
To be honest, I went back and I looked at some of the video clips. Now there were some nostalgic moments and there were some fantastic kills in these moments. However, I did watch the videos and I did notice there was an awful lot of desync and there was an incredible amount of not hitting the target as much as there was hitting the target. So yes, 2.6 was good, but it wasn't that good. That's for sure. So yes, moving on.
Like this, it's basically the sort of
it's romanticized. Yeah.
I miss hitting targets too, Madness. I miss hitting the targets too more than you missed.
But people do it over old games. Oh, do you remember when I was young and I used to play Baldur's Gate 1? And then you look back and you think, how did I ever fucking play this? This is terrible.
I tried to go back recently and play the first Master of Orion. Holy shit!
Oh god,
there's an uphill struggle.
Yeah, you're playing it, you're thinking, shit. I used to think this was this was fucking awesome.
I'm loving the Tessa pack. It's a great shout out.
2.6, the Tessa pack.
The Tessa pack.
Bring back Tessa. In fact, should we start that as a campaign? Bring back Tessa.
10-ton Tessa.
Bring back
right.
Tessa.
We've got the reverse the verse.
We did save the Expanse. We could have saved Tessa.
Should we do? Do you want to do ATV? Should we do ATV first, or should we mix ATV and reverse the verse all together?
Do ATV because RTV was just
RTV's about.
If you needed to take a nap, I hear reverse the verse. This reverse the verse was a great way to get that nap started.
For me, it was.
I think it was
Kirk,
interesting.
and he was like I said. The problem was it's not that he didn't know what he was talking about, and it was interesting. It's just that he's like trying to put it in terms so that we can understand it. I think was the problem.
It's like being
back over here,
and
then it scans over there, and it's all number. It's all numbers basically, but it's over here and it goes over there, and then when that's scanning that, it's like, oh my god. There must be an easier way of explaining it.
It's like a brain surgeon trying to explain how to use a child's brain to program a computer.
I'm never going to let that down from now on.
The average person won't be able to figure that one out. But, you know, it's crazy. Yeah, I agree. Do you know what I found interesting? Just briefly, because I really want to get onto some really cool positive stuff. I know everyone thinks I'm salty, but I really want to get on some good stuff. But the last bit on this topic is that in the middle of all of this conversation, when they're talking about the video mining, it's the guy who's meant to be, I think he's running the department, or was he heading up this section? Hasn't seen the video. There's a bit where they talk about the rock. Disco says, this is the rock. Yeah, see the discoloration of the rock. And he goes, the guy who's running the thing goes, oh, I don't think that's what we're meant to be going for with the discoloration. No, that's not quite what we want. And then they change the screen to show the same rock is still the same color, but they change the overlay, the UI, so it shows the scanning thing. On. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that is the one.
That's the thing."
I was literally just like this, just going, "Oh my god, these guys are building our game. We've given them our money. They don't know what they're doing. What's going? They don't. The left hand doesn't know." I was like this, literally just going. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Live is a bad idea.
Oh, baby Jesus can't help you. I'm using him to give me 5 more frames in Star Citizen.
I was just like, oh no. But anyway, I mean, you know, it's you know, it's the time difference. They're explaining that it's because obviously the mining's done in Frankfurt, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously America.
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
The problem is that they're so far ahead.
No,
so
the thing was,
the thing
was the German team are working on the mining. The video that Disco Lando had to share with everybody was about scanning, but it was a mining portion. So it must have come from the German office showing the mining. So he hadn't actually seen it. So when he saw the discoloration of rock, I don't know whether that is actually meant to be because it was something to mine. What it was, although it did turn out to be something to mine, what the bloke that's working on it is working on the scanners, and the scanners are a separate UI. When you turn them on, you then get the scanning thing working, but it just looked bad at the time.
So what you had was time-traveling videos confused CIG employee.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, which is again, it comes back to that whole argument of like, you know, live versus being a little bit of prep beforehand, you know, like kind of making sure that the guy, because I don't like seeing somebody made generally a little bit of a fool, or just because he's not prepped beforehand is kind of a bit of a shame for them.
I mean, it depends on. We're fans of the project, so we like our devs to appear competent. But hey, if I'm not a fan of the project, it was hilarious. It's just, it's amazing.
It does give like ammo potentially if someone else was watching it to say, hey, look, here's this guy who's just in charge of this department. He hasn't got a fucking clue what the scannings looks like and what the body mining looks like. It's not good. So anyway, that was the only little bit of salt. In terms of ATV, we'll come back to the reverse of this, but ATV Miz, go for it, dude. You take charge. This was your baby.
Not really, but yeah. So the first thing was if we're just going over what they were doing, they were working on the weapon recoil. We might as well show the video for it. Woo.
Yeah, the weapon recoil. So this is interesting.
Weapon recoil. Yay.
This is good for when you're in Star Marine. But so they've been just honing down on the animation and things like that. And they were saying that the Iraqi recoil is going to be affected by not just the gun you're using, but also the state that you're in, the position you're in. I presume they mean like if you're ducking behind like a box or something like that,
crouched, prone,
that kind of stuff. How well you're holding the gun and stuff. So.
Well, yes. I mean, like most of the other games, that you're crouched, you're more stable because, you know, you can.
Yeah. And everybody was worried that the F-55 there wasn't going to have any recoil, but it has.
Look at it. Like,
yeah, it's climbing up the wall.
Crazy recoil. I wait until I play it, if I'm being honest, but I don't mind it. I like
the recoil always goes up, isn't that when they say the case is just shoot at the feet? Because you know you're then going to go up through the person.
Go through cut them in half.
Yeah.
Aim right here, and then by the time you got you got an entire row or just under the chin, and then you got like a row of bullets going straight through the person's kind of head, effectively. Yeah. No, it's I played almost all games I've played have recoil. Yeah, well, almost all FPS games I've played have this as a feature, so for me, it's just nice to see it in.
Yeah, it's just the usual stuff. They're not reinventing the wheel here.
No,
so
it wasn't anything amazing. It was just more like, you know, showing what they were doing.
It's nice to see.
I was more triggered by the detached muzzle flashes than anything else, but I was comforted by the fact that we got stuff we're going to understand as far as recoil goes. So it's going to be easy to get into that.
Yeah, I'm hoping, like, it's one of the things, my biggest frustrations are sometimes actually in Star Marine is, you know, you get in and like it just feels weird when like you suddenly someone hit 2 shots you in the head or whatever, you know, where I'm curious if this will hopefully make it a bit harder, maybe. I don't know. Do you think make it a bit harder to get the kill? I mean, people will obviously get good who are good. I'm not sure it's going to affect shotguns. I wonder, you know, it's like 2 shots, bang, bang, dead.
Yeah.
1 shot, headshot, bang. So it's
that's going to be more of an armor thing, I think, and like, again, time to kill and how long whether they want you to die in 2 shots. Again, the problem with I still think with that is there's a different balance between how you want someone to die in Star Marine and how you want to die in the verse.
Persistent universe, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have a lot of on-foot combat. Most of it's starship. There's really no reason to get out of your ship other than in front of your destination. Like, people go to the drug lab, they literally land their ships on top of the drug lab. We tried to force that today, and we found out why nobody does that.
Because they get
the hard way. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so ship AI teams continue to smooth out takeoffs.
So they were just continuing working on the ship AI stuff, takeoff and landing on the Idris, some flight formations that are going around it. The clip we got was actually the guns and the shooting around it actually, but there was a lot of on this one. There was a lot of on the first thing they were showing off. There was a lot of ships in that battle, like a lot. I
know. I was like,
that's what shocked me. I was like, what the hell happened there? I presume they're like AI. Testing AI shooting against AI, so testing how good they're flying and how they're.
Well, we know that Star Citizen as an engine can support quite a few entities in it. The problem is just the engine's not quite up to it. My guess they have they're really starting to get close to getting this stuff figured out, or it's just a single player instance with AI, because we know
excited. I was very excited.
Yeah,
Could you imagine that with a big Bengal in the middle?
Yeah.
and then a couple javelins and then something else with that shit going on around it. Like, that is my dream.
It looked to me a little bit with the Connie part as well that it was showing off the turret a little bit. Turret managing to keep. I mean, the Connie is flying along straight and everything and perfect, but it did seem to be holding onto the target a bit better. But it could be just the way it was flying. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard until I'm actually in the turret using it.
Testing it,
observe.
I've not seen the turret hit, but anyways, that clip at the very end,
a lot more. Yeah.
That clip at the very end with the single Buccaneer, that is actually the reverse for that Connie shot. That's the Buccaneer attacking the Connie.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks like he's hit. It looks like he's hitting him. So, again, but it's stationary. It's not like a Super Hornet versus a Super Hornet, kind of showing me how the turrets are working well with 2 people in each. That would I would, if they could show me that, like as a turret demonstration, 2 Super Hornets. If they could do 2 Super Hornets fighting each other and then show me the turret guy being able to hit each other, or like a couple ships, like from a Super Hornet turret perspective, and the guys flying around and they're still, you know, tracking really well and still being able to hit, not all the time, but you know what I mean, more more than they are now, and being able to keep on target.
So the next one
stoked.
that I thought was really nice was the Odin. So Odin Spacescape is now in the works, and they've been working on like the gas cloud technology, how they sort of created the coil and the nebula and all, and the different points of interest. But what was interesting was the kind of how much sexier space is starting to look, because this was something I think you said a long time ago, man. This wasn't it about how do you make the space, stop it from looking boring and stuff. And
actually I love these shots.
Really nice.
My God. This is so
and then they were
pretty.
showing
It's so
how they could
pretty.
change the gas and the color of the gas and the clouds so that it would give different atmosphere. And when you actually look at it, it definitely gets a really nice feeling of atmosphere on it.
I mean, I know from my brief amount of time in visual effects and stuff is that you know, particle simulation, all this stuff. The computers tend to do all the bulk of the clever work, and they make it look
that.
They look.
I want that.
Better.
I want that so badly. That Kellogg right there. Oh my God.
That is pretty special, right?
Yeah.
So
like one of the big problems you have with space is this. Mostly it's just blackness. You don't really can't get any depth or any sense to it. So you artificially add glass. I mean, they're cheating like hell to make it look this way.
Go ahead, just make it cheater because make it cool. Because I ain't gonna get.
Yeah, make it cool.
But that is so good. It looks so good. And then we get the little. Is it a wormhole in the corner?
That looks like another system, or that could be the coil.
Someone said, "Is it?" Yeah, it could be the coil. Someone said, "Is it a jump gate? Is it a?"
I don't. Clouds. It's like a cloud spiral, kind of in a.
Yeah, which is why I was saying, does it look more like a? Would it be a jump gate? But yeah, it could be the coil, I suppose.
And
it doesn't look like it belongs there, though.
Is that a station or a beacon? Is that a beacon in the right hand side? Do you think?
Hard to say. Like it's
a beacon because it's flashing. It's going blip, blip, blip. You see the little red light flashing on top of it.
Some form of.
I thought it was
beacon or comm array type thing, possibly.
Could be a comm array, yeah, could be. But it just, I mean, with the way they do the lighting and the way they build it, it's just like I said, it's a film. Like I said, it's a film. It's a film game, whatever in space. It's theater. It's pure theater, and it's gorgeous. And I literally, I applaud because this is going to blow everyone away when this game's finished. Oh, there you go, alarm.
Wow,
baby,
baby. We're all doomed.
Baby alarm. Food time. Carry on.
Okay. So yeah, that was that. So I was really impressed with that. I like the look of all that. Looks nice. So what I was on next on ATV, we had the props. This again, so ATV was really good. There's some really nice, sexy pieces to look at. So this one was like the props team. So it was showing off more work on some of the assets for Chemlin. Is it Chemlin? Different damage variants, and I think also the damage variants were more. Was it from like wrecks in space rather than planet-side wrecks? So it would have a different effect, and hopefully these wrecks will be moving and stuff like that as well. But look,
I think this is a base, right?
This is a base, yeah. But there's something later on. I think I just linked the whole thing in. But yeah, comparing this a little bit to that fan-made one, this is sexy. Yeah. So they're showing like wear and tear in this is like an abandoned kind of base that's been left alone to be sort of what's that on the console there? Looks like goo.
This is like again. He speaks into that whole aliens kind of.
Is that
vibe
goo?
That
or is it just something in the bottom left?
I don't know. Kind of looks like could be xenomorph drool. We don't know.
Probably. I think it's the helmet. I think it's
the helmet.
The helmet. Yeah, there's the glare from the helmet.
It's something in the helmet. I'm sure it's the glare in the helmet.
And then we had the scrap piles, which is they didn't tell us what it was for.
Probably
a location. They wouldn't let us know. Something there glowing a little bit blue on the top. As well.
If the Gravlev system wasn't working, I would have said it's full of Noxes, but never mind. But the Gravlev is now working, so the joke is not good enough.
Oh well.
So yeah, I think
one patch too late on that one, madness.
Sadly, I know, right?
One ATV. If only it was a little bit closer. But didn't they showed you? What was it? They were showing you junk piles on one of the ones before. Or the debris fields or something.
That was Lorville. That was the scrap biome.
Yeah, do you think it could be part of that potentially?
I would expect it would be. I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to see that stuff on the Hearthstone.
It does look great though.
So you can see the code up there, CHEM. So we know it's all part of that. which is quite nice.
Making junk look cool. That's the trick. That's the trick.
Sewers in game. No, it's great. I think it's again, like I said,
I feel like I can get tetanus from it.
They never cease to disappoint CIG with their environment.
So this is the ship.
Yeah, the damage states.
I think damage states. So this is like yeah.
Again, it's like we've seen damage states, and they just keep adding.
But these
to
are
them,
like damage states. That's what I'm saying. I think these are like wrecks that are in space rather than. So they're kind of still more active and compared to the ones that we've seen grounded on the planets, which are just holdout wrecks that are just completely abandoned, no electricity working on it and stuff like that.
Do you know what I got from that when they showed the person walking across? I almost automatically got an vision of a Squadron 42 mission, if I'm being honest, where you would get the flashback of the actual ship and what it was like when watching like an old video or something.
Yeah. This is where you are now. This is what it was like. And
then it shows you it suddenly cuts to, after damage and it's been destroyed by the Vandal, and it shows you that, kind of a cutscene type thing.
Before and after.
Yeah, very much so.
What I want to know about Squadron 42, will you be able to sleep with your crewmates? That's what I want to know, like Mass Effect.
Like Mass Effect.
Yeah. Hope so.
I hope so.
We currently can. I mean, I swear to God, I constantly wake up with a really fuzzy head in my bed, and there's strangers in my bedroom in this game. So I definitely something's good. There's a lot of roofing going on in Star Citizen. Is all I'm saying, because I don't know what's going on and why I'm waking up with all these other strangers in my bedroom.
So we've got these 24 prisoner cells.
Swinger citizen.
Yeah, exactly.
Swinger citizen. Chuck your keys in the pot as you go along.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Honestly, all that stuff is like CIG this is the whole thing. I think why we get frustrated about the flight model and the other mechanics is because we see things like this and we see they built a core base and they build on it and they build on it and they build on it and they get it and it's just getting better and better and better and better. And then we see the flight fucking model and it's like backwards and forwards and fuck ups and it's like, oh, can you just like do what the other team seems to be doing and keeps building and making it better and better and you keep fucking.
I know, right?
And that's where I get like, oh. Anyway,
building a better game for the kids of tomorrow.
For your grandchildren, your newborn son will be able to play Star Citizen 1.0.
I hope so. I want him to. That's the beauty thing. I want my kid to like. I'm desperately excited.
And then Madness can always go back to Star Citizen 2.6.3 2.6.3 while his son plays.
His son will be playing the finished polished game and he go, oh, when I was a kid we had 2.6.3 and it was the best thing I've ever had. I wouldn't believe the fun we had in 2.6.3.
God. 2.6.3 for the win. Right, moving on.
Moving on, please.
I said this about just every single feature, but this one was really interesting as well. So this was the AI work on.
Oh yes, yeah.
And how the different AI, depending on how well they've been trained and things like that, as to how they're going to act with the gun and things like that. This is all part of like the kind of subsumption thing. This was quite impressive, in my opinion.
All I love is the fact that one of the AI guys starts shaking like a dog taking a shit, which I thought was hilarious.
like a dog passing a peach pit.
It just did. He started going, his legs started shaking like a dog. I was like,
well, you would as well if you never held a gun before. He jumps out, look.
But that was the point. They were saying how like these are untrained militias, so they're really stupid. They're
not even that. They just might be crewmates that have been boarded and they quickly grab the nearest gun just to defend themselves. There might be someone that's never had weapons training or something. Run away! Yeah,
shoes in the future are an expensive item. Hey, dude, I've seen those shoes cost the same amount of money as to reclaim my ship in games, like 250 AUEC. It's like it's more expensive than my spaceship.
They might want to load their guns. Yeah, they're firing blanks there. It's because the reason they're shooting blanks is because after the last AI incident, when they started spraying and praying the room, they took the ammo away from all AI. It's like, no, sorry guys, you're banned. No. You're not having any more ammo. You keep shooting yourselves. You can have these blank guns for now.
But again, this
is impressive. This is like to see this and this being AI compared to other games and stuff. This is I'm quite impressed with this. I think it's a good step forward, especially from some of the AI stuff we've seen in the past. It's
I compare it to Metal Gear Solid AI. I compare it to Mass Effect AI. What other game? There's a few other games kind of have got pretty good.
Deus Ex,
AI.
maybe.
I wouldn't say Assassin's Creed because you do more physical hand-to-hand combat rather than shooting guns. Deus Ex, yeah, for sure. I mean, again, it's one of those kind of like I have to see how predictable they are. You know what I mean? It's all about, you know, do they do the same thing over and over and over and over again? Because once they do that, you know exactly what they're going to do.
It's not so much about I know what you're saying, but that's not what they were trying to demonstrate. They're demonstrating that you have different AI crew in your ship, and ones that aren't trained will act like untrained ones. Because in other games, anyone will pick up a gun and become an expert martial arts fighter. It's like your average civilian all of a sudden starts beating your ass back because you bumped into them in GTA or something. It's like
but they have to make sure that the untrained civilian will be wearing reasonable armor, because I'll be always able to tell the barefooted soldier and go, he's going to be a piece of piss.
Yeah, but no, what they're showing is if your thing is this is like part of the, so if your ship's been boarded, these people might not especially be fighting. If you look at that clip, what they've done, if they've quickly grabbed the gun and run to start holding the deck down, as soon as the proper trained soldiers come, they've fucked off. And that's the whole point. It's not that you're meant to be seeing this as, oh, I'll shoot them because they're easy. They are like literally, someone's just knocking on your door. You quickly grab a gun to defend yourself while you're waiting off for the actual proper team to come and survive. So it's that's
I just thought they were showing us the.
No,
I thought they were just showing us 2 different AI types.
No, if
I
you
just
look here,
it was like
this is the difference between the AI types, but these are just like the guys who are just holding off a dude.
No, but if you look here, right, they're both standing by the box, right? So if you watch it, the one on the left will run away and then he'll get replaced by a soldier. So he's been told, come away. He runs away, then the soldiers run in. And then a few minutes later, this one in the middle on the right, he runs away. Look, he'll go away, and then another soldier takes his place.
Okay. I just thought, I swear to God, this was just a setup to show us the first guys are the untrained soldiers, and the second
group they're just civilians. They could be anyone. They could be your ship's scrubber boy or your ship's or.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm way more impressed with it than I was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. It was great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, again, there are other games that do it, so it's just like, yeah, great. It's in game. Fantastic. But now you mentioned about that. If that's actually what it is, that's cool.
Way? Oh yeah, okay. In that way, yeah. Yeah, it's not just a slider. It's not just a slider of, oh, this one's untrained, he acts that way. It was just meant to be showing you this almost like the subsumption of it. So these have got, quick, we're being attacked. So
impressive. Then because I was just like, again, I was just under the impression that was what they were just showing us from what I heard. It was like, oh, it's just showing us the two different. Currently, there's just 2 types: untrained and trained. Okay, much more complicated. So yeah, really impressive, very impressive.
And then the next one on the end of that video was the is it Graves, the hero character that they've been working on. Oops.
Oh yeah, he looked really. It was nice. Again, I think it's good to see. Not an ageist type of computer game where everyone's
the jacket looks pretty
in their
good.
20s. Jacket looks fantastic.
Someone older, someone older
a
than
bit of a
20s.
belly, so he's not like everyone looks like they're muscle man working out.
Your 6-pack.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a 6-pack. This guy's looks like he's had a few years on him.
Will he fit behind the cockpit of your ship, though? That's the thing.
Probably not. I don't think he's going to get into a cockpit.
He's not.
I think he's struggling to get into a spacesuit. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Have to be, especially it's going to have to be the spandex.
It'd be so funny to see him in one of those like skin tight spacesuits over there, just simulated the belly sticking out, and it's like
because like some games have breast jiggle physics for their females. Will he have like a beer belly jiggle physics for his like spacesuit?
I think he should. It would represent me right now, to be honest. So I would need one of those.
I'm about to say I'm in the same boat. I think I need the girdle edition.
I mean,
to suck it all in.
The level of detail in the jacket's amazing, so really good. I mean, the patches look like this. So on. I mean, this is like you said. This is not. He's actually got a split in this jacket where his belly's.
Here's the question. Here's the question, Mark. If they sold that jacket now in the shops, how many do you think they would sell?
Probably a lot, because it's got about as many patches as Star Citizen by now.
Yeah. If they sold that jacket in game, or maybe if they gave it as a prize for the 27k Legatus pack, I wonder if they'd sell more.
No. They need more tutorials. They're going to give it away for a tutorial.
27k, you get this jacket thrown in.
How to buy Legatus pack tutorial. We'll give you a free jacket.
with loads of stuff with stickers all over it.
Go
to those board meetings with your Star Citizen jacket. No, I genuinely though, I think it would be if they sold that. It's a nice game. I think people would buy it. Honestly, I think people would buy it and enjoy it. Right, cool. Next thing.
And
is this
then
the scanning?
The last thing, which is the same as the RTV, really, which is the scanning.
Okay, we can go into
I think I just linked the whole scanning section together, so you can just see it.
Sweet. Okay. The scanning stuff. I mean, how do you guys feel about the scanning? What's your first thoughts on this?
For an initial tier 0, I think they're doing a good job. In my opinion, I think it's
same.
Handled really well. I like the idea of having kind of what he was talking about in RTV was you would do like you would have a basic scan so that it would be, I think, constantly scanning, and it will pick up a certain distance. Then you can have what I think was called the ping, which is different to scanning. So the ping is like a focused search for something. And then I quite like the fact that he said you would have different levels of pinging someone. So you could do a basic ping just to see if anybody's there, and then the more that you focus on that, the more detail you get. So the reason these look like floating cubes is because they haven't been pinged enough to get any more detail out of them. So the more you focus, the more information you get, which was kind of cool.
The only problem I have with it is the fact you have to point your ship. You have to move the ship around to actually look at all the different squares and then ping at those squares. I'd rather have like a terminal or something come up and then you ping and then you can see all the pack on the terminal. Kind of like how a little bit, I hate having to say it, kind of like how EVE Online does it.
Well, maybe they'll do it on the bigger ship. Maybe on the bigger ships they'll do that. So that
well, they asked in RTV if they're going to do a 2D version, because obviously this the part of the reason you have to turn your ship is because that's the only way you're actually seeing what your ping is identifying. And they said they hadn't really discussed it or worked on it, but I think it wasn't a no, and in some ways I think this would be a good mechanic for a console. So like as a different person within your ship, and if they had a console, they could ping and see the things on the console. So it would, I think 2D would work to a degree. And like you said, then you could fly a certain way, and they could like have a radar and scan around your ship rather than having to face it.
There's a few things you could do as well. Like I'm thinking, like on a Carrack, for example, which is a scanning based ship. Like if you could have it as a situation where the person who's in the scanning thing could have a few things. You could have a 3D globe type thing that you put your ship and shows you around, and you can show you the information. Or you could do it so you look in like as if it's like a turret. Like you're looking in a spaceship.
Like a periscope goes
periscope. And you scan around, and you can pick up all the information that way as well.
Just imagine there's a long tube come out of
Can I interrupt this? Like every time the prospector comes up in this little demonstration they have, and then it's little boom, or it's little boom. I just imagine it having an erection. It's like, ooh, there's some titanium.
Ooh, a rock.
A rock.
Yeah, it does. It is a little bit.
It gets a little excited. Okay, everybody.
Yeah. That's how you know it's found something. It just goes. Okay, we don't need to scan here. It's found it.
It needs. What it needs is a sheath and a kind of sleeve underneath it, just to kind of.
Did we need to go that far?
It needs a sheath.
Go that far.
Just to kind of make it add to that.
I think I've destroyed the community. Like nobody cannot see this. Like
it's coming. It's coming. No, I mean the picture of the prospector. Oh, never mind.
Wow, we're so. It's getting late. It's getting late.
Fucking done.
So yeah. Oh, RTV, but RTV showed us a bit more about the scanning stuff, Miz, which I've got, which I posted up a couple clips from the little clips.
I'm waiting for it to come up now. It's like, where is it?
Where is it? Where is
this? It's like just skip around a bit.
We need to find it now.
We'll stumble past across the. There it is. Here we go.
Just
here's
flying
the
along in your prospector. Nothing unusual.
Like, ooh, there's a rock. What's this about?
Oh, it's shape. Oh, look, it's purple. I see
it's
you,
purple
rock. I see you.
I see you.
One sexy rock.
Oh yeah.
Here we go, baby.
Here we go, baby.
That's why it cuts out at the end. It's like
that's why it cuts away.
PG-13. We can't shoot.
The rock's Betty.
Go gadget erection. Yeah, there we go.
I was here before. He's come back again, Betty. He's come back again from. He wants a bit more of me.
Oh god, that actually reminds me of a joke. I don't think I should say it though.
Don't let the prospectors get you and probe you. Right.
Right. Move on. What else we got?
But let's go to verse the verse. So basically, there's a video clip of the mining view. They talk again more of the. Don't have to do that one, but you can do the video of the rock. Again, let's talk about the rock. But you can do the rock breaking and mining if you want to. The third one is.
The funny thing is, I watched D&D stream at the weekend. I'm just saying, so I'll get this up. And on one of the one-shot adventures they did, they went through the woods and there was all these rock cairns lined up, and the bard got lipstick and started drawing faces on the rocks so that they knew where they were going on the path. One had eyeshadow, and then they started like trying to date the rock. So I think the prospector might have been hovering behind them at some point. No. So I've now had a weekend full of rocks. It's great.
Yeah, well, you know what happens is like the prospector does that, and then
the rock love. The
reclaimer comes next to it with his.
I didn't expect to have so much rock love after a weekend of it. Oh my god! How you doing, Rock? You come here often?
You live around here often, Rock?
Triple X mining.
It's not me, it's you. Okay.
It's not me.
They definitely have a fixation on things, kind of phallic things
coming out and grabbing.
Like
I said, they should have like one of the attachments for the reclaimer should be a giant fist. That way you can punch people with it. Like that just sounds great.
Massive.
Like rock and sock'em robots. You can start punching. Have a reclaimer punching fight.
That's too much fun.
That's too much fun. CIG would never do that. CIG hates fun.
That's way too much fun. They would do that in like Bug Smashers or something, just for fun.
Yes. So what am I showing?
The last one.
Oh,
the rock
not this one.
Mining.
Oh right, we wanted to see the rock breaking. You're breaking my heart. The prospect.
Breaking
my heart.
Because we've already seen that was just them showing my heart. But
on a first date as well. On a first date.
Yeah, don't take it for granted.
So that was again. I love the way it breaks. It's kind of basic voxel breaking as well.
It's like they cut out the middle bit, and then you've got the erection, then you've got. Okay, never mind.
The money shot. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's move past.
All over the face of yellow.
Before I get banned from Twitch.
Let's moving on. Move past biology 101 classroom. Penises. Let's move past that classroom. And let's go to the rock discoloration, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yes.
Well,
you see it there. It's like a ready kind of. You see it just before it breaks.
Yeah.
There's and on the second video, if you want to see more of the discoloration, it shows you. It's kind of like a irony, coppery kind of color. Which I was like, that's not a bad thing, right? I mean, if you actually in real life, different ores, different minerals are a different color. I don't see why that's a big deal. Why you wouldn't want them to look a different color? Just saying. Like gold is gold and copper is coppery color, and I don't, you see veins of color. Why would you want them to always look the same? It's
because, well, no, I don't know. I mean, I imagine they probably will eventually, or maybe that is what they're planning. But he just didn't. He was, like I said, I think he was more focused on the UI side of things. So like when you see where the scan all the pings showing that the fact that what's inside the rock, the titanium, the laranite, and all that stuff. And then on the left you got the power graph and how that's going up. I think
scan all the pings.
Yeah, ping the scan.
Just dirty chat.
I'm sorry. What have I done?
I love the fact it's got shale deposit as well. It's just like good name. Deposit. Right, maybe. So, but the laser, it's just. I wonder, like the way that laser is, the design of it, the way it kind of like, it reminded me of like a Fallout like laser, like you could hold it like a kind of if you're in your mech suit, you could hold that forward and laser. And I was wondering, do you think that might be a thing? You might get like a smaller version of it, possibly.
Oh yeah. You're gonna have like reclaiming tools, handheld reclaiming tools, handheld repair tools.
Like a little minor thing. I think that would be kind of cool to have. It could even work very similar to how that looks. Just like like you said, like a two-hand.
Because they said
just hold it.
I think they said with the Orion, you're gonna have people either helping you with like some of the auxiliary stations on the Orion to kind of help break stuff down to more manageable chunks, or catch little fly rocks that are coming out, and you catch them and bring them back around to get shoved into the mouth of the Orion. But I suspect you will have some on-foot mining capabilities for like just about every ship. You'll be able to have a bin next to you, and you can shoot a laser with your handheld device. I suspect you'll be able to do that.
But what do you think about the UI side of it?
It looks pretty good for a tier 0. Like, I mean, there's not much else to say.
They've got like the danger sensors. I like, they're covering different aspects of things, so it shows you that you're probably gonna have a bit of power management going on there with the fact that it's showing you how much power you're using.
Yeah, you kind of have to maintain the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get our hands on it. I really want to get my hands on it in 3.2, enjoy it, and then see the flaws in it. You know what I mean? See what we don't like about it.
Get my hands on it, see the flaws in it, and get salty about it on the next podcast. Quick.
And then complain that the 263 was the best mining mechanics because it didn't have any.
Best mining mechanic was 2.63 mechanic.
Yeah, just let's
see here.
Wait and see. But I'm like with the economy and the cargo running, I was very pleasantly surprised by it, barring a few little things. But generally, I thought it was pretty good. The first iteration of it. So, judging on what I'm seeing here, I'm pretty pleased. I think.
So they were talking. Really, so that was mining, but like it was funny because they showed a lot of mining stuff, and then Jarrett kept going, "We don't want to talk about mining. We want to talk about scanning." And it's like, but you've got no video clippage of scanning. And nothing
outside
of
scanning.
Mining. He felt like saying, "You know what? Why didn't you do this ATV another time, or talk about mining instead?" Which is what you have got video footage of.
Because they want to talk about scanning, but they only have mining coming up with scanning coming up with the next patch. So that's all they're ready to show.
Yeah, but so in that respect, they were asking, they were trying to talk about scanning. So one of the things they talked about was, are you going to be able to jam the sensors? They said not at this stage, but it's something they definitely want to add into it. So obvious, but it's a nice gameplay. It's something that, like we said, almost like with the name tags as well. I do think that would be a good thing to put in. An interesting thing that Jared said, which is like he said, it kind of makes sense, but I suppose you kind of lose sight of it, is that they've got to get things working before you can then think of the ways to break them in terms of gameplay sense. So there's no point saying, oh yes, let's do pirate, let's do scan blocking when we haven't even got scanning working. So I thought that was just a little bit of common sense, but actually good point well made. Because we do get carried away, and it's like, oh, I want piracy, and I want to smuggle this shit in. Well, hang on, we don't even know how to get the goods in, let alone smuggle shit in. So
yeah, we still got boxes stuck to people's hands at the moment. Let's get those things kind of working. But no, good. Like I say, good. I genuinely I think the scanning mechanic looks. Because everyone was worried, weren't they? That originally the scanning mechanic was like a golf. Was it the golf? The golf swing?
The golf swing. Everybody hated that. It was like, this is just a placeholder.
I love that.
And everyone was terrified.
So that linking to that, they did. So one of the questions was asked, like, how is scanning going to be skill based? And to me, the excuse he gave was, I didn't think that it really covered it being a skill based thing.
I think it'd be more knowledge based.
Yeah, to me it felt more like this. You got control over scanning, correct? But it didn't. It's not like I can get better at it as such. You could probably get a bit faster.
No.
I think you could get faster.
I think you can get better at it, but it requires you to control your temperature, your power, the direction. You have to know your conditions you're scanning in.
Just scanning.
Yeah. Well, this is just general scanning in principle. Like certain systems will have more EM interference, so you'll have to kind of get through all that stuff.
You think you'll get to control the temperature now on just a basic ping? Because all he talked
I think
about
you'll
was,
have that.
All he was talking about is there's like 8 levels of scanning, and you basically broaden or shrink down your bandwidth that you're scanning. So your first ping might be can do a 360, then you can with the sliders narrow it down. And he was just saying that basically the narrowing down and controlling where you aim it would be the skill part of it. And I just thought, well, it's not really skill to do that. It's like you do a big scan, right, there's something, and then you narrow down your beam. And what he was saying was also like, if you do like a 360 scan, you can cover it all around you, but it won't scan as far a distance. So when you narrow the beam down and say do like a 180 section, you'll actually scan further distance, but obviously not as far around you. So there'll be a balance between how far you want to scan, whether you want to scan something like on a longer distance.
Well, I think when I think people think of skill-based gameplay, I think everybody really kind of in the community defaults to like arena commander, dogfighting, and Star Marine kind of shooting. That's what I think. Like there's positioning, there's aim, getting those headshots, getting those hot shots on target. You know, learning how to position your ship over top to get the best shots possible, staying out of your. Like when I come to scanning, it's more of a slower paced game where it's mostly just knowing where to position your ship, firing off the wave, and just if that doesn't work, try again. Just keep trying again. There's really no failure state other than just potentially missing something you didn't know there was there.
Well, apart from doing a ping, sets you off all the radars to everybody else. It says it flashes you like a beacon. So if you needed to do it quickly and more accurately, I suppose there's that. But
I think we really just need to have it in the player's hands to really kind of have final judgment. That's all I can say. Like, we just don't know enough about it right now. It's just too underdeveloped to really have any opinion on it, at least for me.
Yeah. And I think the last bit I managed to catch, I didn't get all of it, I think, but there was like, will there be size and classes of scanners? Because like we've got different size and class components within the ship, and they said at tier 0 there won't be, but eventually you will get bigger scanners and better quality scanners and things like that, which I think will help probably go eventually to the counteracting people that are blocking them. If they've got a level 1 blocker and you've got a level 3 scanner, it might go past their blockade sort of thing. And I mean, the scanning mechanic is something I'm looking forward to, not necessarily when it's first implemented, because I know it's going to be more mining, but I remember playing like Privateer, the Darkening and stuff, and being scanned was always like a fear. You know, you're going in with illegal goods or something, and then something starts talking to you and he's going, we're going to scan you. It's like, oh shit. So I'm looking forward to that kind of gameplay where we're going to get that. If you are doing the more illegal smuggling, that sort of thing, it's going to make it more interesting if you're trying to protect yourself. So yeah.
Yep. Can't wait. Can't wait. I think we should probably wrap it up there, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's a good place to end it.
I think, no questions.
No, I don't think we had any questions. No questions, which is
you don't love us this week.
Makes my life a lot easier. It's been pretty. I mean, on the whole, I think we're all waiting for 3.2. Is the truth of it. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
3.2. So
I mean, there's a limit to what you can talk about with
new
scanning.
Drake shit.
But
yeah,
I did think the ATV was really good. I loved the visuals and the progress report we're getting from Squadron 42 was pretty impressive on that. So
yeah, I think overall I'm pleased. I'm just waiting to get my hands on the next bit. Really, it's all like I'm not going to be here. I'll probably be in Asia. Actually, we might as well round up with what we're doing. So, Miz, you are away next week, right? Is that you're on holiday for 2 weeks?
So, for me, this last week was my last D&D session for a couple of weeks. We did that, which was good fun. We actually got everybody there last week, which was pretty cool. So yeah, D&D's going really well, but there's going to be a 2-week hiatus. I don't know if someone else can host, so there may be something going on the Friday evenings. We don't know yet. We'll have to see on that one, but otherwise that will carry on when I return. Paint, Prattle and Roll on Wednesday should be happening unless I'm doing packing, which could well be the case. So that will be my last stream for a couple of weeks, and then that's it. I'll just have to sit and watch, and I'll try and tune in from where I am on holiday and listen in at least and troll you on chat if I can. I think they're 2 hours ahead. I'm not sure. So I'll have to check.
It's all a question of like I said, whether I get this. If I can get my PC fixed, then obviously I'll be able to host it. Otherwise, I may have to call on HC to hold the fort down and host it for us.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck, mate. I'll send you all the artwork files. Be fine. We'll run it through. You'll be fine. If I can get my PC, because my PC will be getting picked up hopefully tomorrow. It's all about. They send me a box because I don't have a box for it, so they send me a box, and then I get the box, and then I pack it up, and then I call them, and then they come and collect the box.
That's so slow. So slow.
You
live in London. Surely there's like computer shit.
They're in Wakefield in Manchester, so it's quite a long way to travel. So. I mean, I could get people, but they charge me like 55 quid an hour. So if you imagine, like, they could come over, they could fix it in an hour, or they could look at it and go,
"Yeah." How much are the computer people charging you?
£15, 40 quid. Okay. So it's like I can spend 55 quid for somebody to come over, look at it, and go, "Ooh, you know, like the car people."
New hard drive.
Yeah. He's looking at it, going, "I've had to travel all the way over from London, so let me work on it for about an hour and a half. Charge him an extra 30 quid for the extra 20." Yeah. Oh, it's not quite working, and then actually, I'm going to have to take this back to the office, and then it's like, well, fuck it, I could just done that anyway. So yeah. So we'll find. Anyway, we'll find out. We'll keep you all posted. If you don't follow us on Twitter and Twitch, obviously follow everybody here. You'll be able to keep up to date with all the Asylum stuff. Follow on YouTube as well. Subscribe. The video of today will be on YouTube as well tomorrow.
Yep. And if anyone is interested in D&D, the past D&D things are up there. So you can go and watch all the old ones anyway and catch up. It gives you a good time to come and catch up with what we've been doing.
Catch up with what we're up to.
Even if you're not interested in D&D, go and give it a try. It's fun. It's good.
Yep. And if I ever do get my PC working again, I will be using this on a stream at some point. Doing a drawing. So I will be doing my tablet drawing, learning to use that when my computer works.
Talking about shoes.
Drawing shoes. It'll be my
basically Madness is doing nothing. I'm doing nothing. Vertigo, what are you doing?
I'm playing Star Citizen. Tonight we're going to play some Star Citizen, and then we're going to play some Battlefield 4 Team Deathmatch. We're going to practice our left-handed mouse more. For those of you who don't know, I switched off because my right wrist has been having a lot of issues, so we're starting to learn how to use the left hand on the mouse now. Right-hand keyboard, left-hand mouse.
Seriously, like anything that's starting to cause any sort of wrist injuries or finger injuries, I quite literally just do this. Fuck you, computer. I'm going away. Just leave it alone. Just like there's nothing you do not want to have. I see my mum with arthritis, in her fingers.
Yeah.
It's painful. So I honestly, if anything is causing the mouse is causing you pain, just step away or change up the tool. So if you're using the mouse a lot for something, change it up. Get yourself a pen. Go to a digital
stick.
Get hold of that joystick.
Get hold of that joystick. Just change it up. Give your hands a rest.
Stick of joy.
Doing different things. It's not worth. It's really not worth it. It really isn't. So look.
I was 10 years a mechanic, so I was using a lot of air tools, hammer blows, and whatnot, swinging hammers and whatnot. Plus, I loved first-person shooters, and I was right-hand dominant. So, yeah.
Yeah, look after those fingers, dude.
I know.
Anyway, so we can host you if you want. If you want to dash off HC.
Sure. Yeah. Let me just get.
Unless Miz wants to host anyone else.
No, no.
Yeah, we'll host you.
All right.
We'll host the Asylum, maybe.
My thing going.
You get yourself sorted, and we'll.
I'm gonna head out now while we're waiting.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do.
And should see you all next week.
Yep.
If not, we'll see you as
the week after. when Madness's computer gets fixed.
We'll be back. We'll make it work. We'll be back next week. We'll be back next week. Don't worry. I'll always make it work. We'll be back next week. So the Asylum will be back on Monday.
So thanks for joining us. As Manny said, while Vertigo's, make sure you go and give us a follow on Twitter, Twitch.
Yep.
Make sure you give Vertigo a follow as well. Wonderful fellow. Brings the tone down a little bit, but otherwise
brings Drake's fucking boat anchor of the Asylum podcast.
And
they're having to drag me uphill.
Thank you all.
We're up to like 280 followers on YouTube. So if you haven't followed us on YouTube, go and do it, please.
Yes,
get in there slowly.
Yes, get us up there. We need the more love, the better. And awesome. Thank you all of you guys for hanging out with us. It's the most.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Anyone could ever want. Just chatting with us and just hanging out with us is brilliant. We appreciate it a lot. Appreciate it a lot.
Are you live? Okay, let me try raiding. Go and raid this bloke called HCVertigo. I don't.
HCVertigo. HC.
A little bit.
Wells.
A little bit. But you guys are what matter because you guys hang out with us, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice to have somebody.
And CIG in chat by now. Keep up the great work.
Around the verse.
Massive appreciation from us. You guys, and we all know.
And I'll see you at the drug lab tonight.
So
tonight,
keep it up. Keep it up. Looking forward to playing 3.2.
Keep it up.
Me too.
Keep looking at those rocks.
Keep it up.
And keep it up.
Keep looking at those. Yeah, keep it up. Keep looking at those. God damn it.
Wow.
All right.
Good night. Good night.
So professional. Good night, guys. Take care.
Yep.
Good stuff.